Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Slot 1 Super Podcast. It is that time once again. We are back with episode 57. Is your boy, the Master Ningen. I am here as the main host for this week's episode. And as always, I am joined by my two fantastic co-hosts. We have Minato's Flash. How's it going?
Oh, I'm here.
He is indeed. And we have,
I am here.
we have our boy Vilify as well. How's it going, my dude?
Woo! It's going great. I got someone asking on all my videos for a Tech Pan showcase, and I don't know what to do about it.
It must be Trace.
Like day 38.
Yep. Hell yeah. Okay. So we are back. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Obviously, the podcast now on a 2-weekly format, so we've got plenty of stuff to go over during this episode, as well as a new segment at the end that I'm sure a bunch of you guys will be aware of and have put in your submissions for. So we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the episode. But we are going to go ahead and jump in straight away by kicking off with the biggest, newest thing that is actually in the game, because obviously we've got some speculation stuff to talk about a little bit later as well. But we're going to go ahead and jump straight over to talking about the December Carnival LR that's released on both versions of the game. And that is, of course, LR Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So yeah, a lot of speculation about who the parts... I keep doing it as well. We were doing it on the episode last time. I sure keep calling it the Part 2 LR, even though technically it's a separate thing, but it was related to Buuhan with Buu Saga buffs, which is one of the things that people had expected. He does have the 200% Buu Saga lead, which I think was a good choice. But yeah, we're going to throw it over to one of you guys. I know, Minato, you haven't pulled him, have you? Vilify, did you pull Gotenks?
On the global, I did. Yeah, actually.
You did. All right. Well, let's start off with you then. So why don't you give us your thoughts on Carnival LR Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks?
I like to have the kit pulled up so I don't forget anything, right? But I like the Buu Saga 200%. I don't know if another Buu Saga category leader was exactly necessary, but I do like the pure 200% because, you think about like the Super Saiyan 3 Goku leader and the Fat Buu leader skill. It's like you got to get a little bit wonky to get that 200%. It's not always going to be perfect. So this Gotenks doesn't hurt to have him. Two of this guy running around. Very good character. And one thing that I really like about him when I was kind of looking into sort of how to do the hidden potential build and stuff like that, what I really like here is this extra damage reduction when there's another final trump card category ally. Because with that category, one thing about final trump card and Buu Saga is they're very like intertwined, especially with the versions of those teams right now. Like you have like a character like STR Vegito on that team. Like any version of Vegito, if we were to potentially get like another one in the future, is going to be on that team. Buuhan is on that team, the physical one, and I believe the tech one is as well. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I see him here. They added Super Saiyan 3 Goku to Majin Buu Saga, the New Year's Dokkan Fest from last year.
Yep.
So it's not going to be difficult to run the Buu Saga team and have Final Trump card running around with Gotenks. So you're always going to have access to that extra damage reduction. And really, I think that they just kind of knocked it out of the park with this character for this slot where, we're talking amongst this guy amongst like the top 3, the top 4, the top 5. And really, that's what they should be doing. The only thing I would say in terms of like if they were going to get players to summon before the anniversary, I think they could have went with a little bit more of a hype character. I know Gotenks is cool, but I think that maybe something we could talk about a little bit later for the banner format that they did, I think might have gotten people a little bit better than just the Gotenks himself. But they added a little surprise in there we weren't ready for.
Yeah, especially
so Gotenks very good.
Especially for global as well, yeah. The banner, of course, being... We'll talk about him in a little bit, but of course the banner very different for global because it was also the release of Jiren. So 2 new units available on the same banner. Global also got the special 150 stone summon. But Minato, what are your thoughts on Gotenks and his banner on the JP side? How do you feel about the difference in the banner? Because Jiren isn't actually even featured on the banner, is he, on JP, which is where a lot of people expected him to return for the first time. So
yeah, because usually the Tanabana LR returns into December, like Divine Double Rates banner, whatever it's called, right? Because they're like both double rates banners. Now we do know in the global news that Jiren is gonna also be set to returning soon, so we can talk about it later maybe. But there's a whole bunch of super bosses characters that are slated to return soon. Physical Rose, Physical Topo, Jiren. I'm not sure if there's anyone else at the top of my head that I'm missing, but
Rose. There's the thing about crossover as well, wasn't there?
Crossover too, which who knows what's gonna happen? But yeah, I would assume probably sometime in January we could see what's going on with that. But for now, I wouldn't really put too much focus on it. But I assume that's where Jiren will be set to return. I think sometime in January. Maybe it could be something related to the New Year's Step Up banner, but we'll have to wait and see what they're actually gonna do. Now, back on topic with Gotenks. I think he's really good. Of course, I didn't pull him on my actual account, but I was able to use him as a friend. You didn't either?
Oh, your JP account, yeah.
Yeah, your JP account, right? Yeah. No, but I think Gotenks is gonna age really well. 55% damage reduction for the first 5 turns. I think that even in a fight like Goku Frieza, the Majin Buu Saga team is very powerful offensively.
Yeah.
So you're kind of able to shred through the phases, even like the 17 and Golden Frieza phase, right? I think you're able to get past like those kind of fights and get to Goku Frieza even when you still have Gotenks' damage reduction up. And even once his damage reduction runs out, you still will have the active skill. Which will give him that active skill 77% defense.
Yep.
And all the defense he gets when his key's like at 12 and above, he does get that start of turn. So overall, Gotenks will be very tanky that turn anyways. He has the 50% chance to basically, be invincible. That's pretty much what it is, right? And especially if it would end up being a Ki Blast super attack, he has 99% damage reduction. So for all intents and purposes, right, especially if we get other Ki Blast super attack bosses in the future, which I think is not like a 0% chance, of course, right? I think it'll be a common thing we could see in future bosses. Gotenks will be looking pretty good. Again, final trump card, the thing is that if you're running 2 Super Saiyan 3 Gotenkses, like as your leaders, then they activate passive for each other. You don't even have to run another final trump card character. But I think
somebody.
Yeah, I think the 10th anniversary, we're gonna get the 7-year LRs, EZAs. I think that it's possible we see like Super EZA Ster Gogeta and like some of these other characters that could work well with Gotenks, right? And a lot of the different teams that he's on. Overall, I think that as a Majin Buu Saga leader, he wasn't necessarily needed, but it could help out certain characters that don't fit Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku's 200%. I think in Ultimate Gohan is a character that EZA'd recently, or Super EZA'd recently, doesn't actually fit the Angel Goku's 200%, but he actually does end up being on the Gotenks 200%. I believe if you run the Tech Majin Vegeta on the team for Gotenks as well, Gotenks, with the Rainbow Orb changing, could just make the team so much more viable, even if you just decide to run it. Hey, I'm gonna run Bootanks, or I'm gonna run, Int Fat Boo or something like that on the team. The Rainbow Orb changing is very helpful there. But yeah, no, incredible character. I think he's just overall a consistent character as well. I think the only time he could, there are situations he could die, right? If he doesn't get his full defense against Gogeta and Janemba, he will just get one shot. But besides that, not really issues. He also does a lot of damage, right? Guaranteed crits.
Right.
It can go really crazy for this guy. Apparently you're muted, by the way, Ningen. You always do that,
I
buddy.
know. It's because I got super paranoid because in earlier episodes when I wasn't talking, but then they'd get comments that are like, "We can hear you breathing," so now I mute my microphone when I'm not talking, and then I forget to unmute it. But yeah, Gotenks is super good. He gets tons of ki, so I never struggle to get the 24 ki with him. So he gets guaranteed crits, gets an additional super. Obviously, if you do get dupes or you've put the skill orbs in him, you can end up getting a 3rd super attack as well. So he can do tons and tons of damage. The only nitpick of him really is the fact that his that defense is the RNG, like the coin flip with the 777%. Because if you get that, he's tanking everything, and you could put him in slot 1 and he's going to be fine against any of these super attacks, including Goku and Frieza. The one thing that you do notice, if the fight does go on a little bit longer, if you're using him on different team builds and stuff, because as Minato said, the Majin Buu Saga team now is, I think, definitely in like the highest tier. I don't know, like, I'm not gonna like argue about the order, but if we talk about the highest tier of like the best teams in the game, I think Buu Saga is now in that tier. And yeah, absolutely blows through some of these events. But if you do lose that damage reduction, like you get past turn 5, one of the things that I have noticed about him is obviously if you put him in slot 1 and the enemy doesn't actually super you straight away, he can actually take some pretty big damage from normal attacks, like pre-super, if you haven't used his active skill, because he gets that big defense buff when he gets hit with a super attack. So against, like, if you get to like Goku and Frieza and it's like turn 6 and you put him in slot 1 and you don't use his active skill or anything like that, he can actually take, like, because sometimes on that odd occasion they'll do like a normal attack before they do a super, and he can take big damage from that. But that's a very sort of like rare scenario, and obviously you have access to the active skill. And then yeah, like Minato said, I think it's very likely we'll see Ki Blast bosses in the future, but I think the reason why this guy is so good and why people will really wanted to summon for him is, I guess it's, you know, the deliberate move on their part, the definition of like a bait sort of character right before, because the big question would be for summoning for these characters, regardless of thinking about saving for summoning for actual anniversary characters, but thinking about like future power creep. And obviously they clearly designed this guy to be able to keep up with the 10th anniversary content, which makes him a desirable pull, so people will want to summon for him. Because yeah, if the hardest fight of the 10th anniversary ends up being against a boss with a Ki Blast super attack, then this guy's still going to be insanely good in that event. And then even if it isn't, as long as he gets that proc for the 777%, because what does his defense go up to? Like, isn't it something stupid like, I don't know, I actually can't remember now when I did this. It's like over 10 million, right? When it's, if you get the 777. So he tanks most things in the game as long as you actually get it. And then of course, if it's a Ki Blast super, he basically takes no damage at all. So, so yeah, he's really, really good. And of course, from the global perspective, the banner, whilst the rest of the featured units overall were probably nothing too crazy. When we saw the banner lineup, that was pretty much the like confirmation that Angel Vegeta was going to get an EZA, which we'll talk about here as well. But of course, for global, it was also the release of Jiren. We had that special 150 stone summon. The interesting thing about that, so obviously that was a global exclusive. I don't know if it's just an oversight on their part, but we've seen things like the, you know, when we get the tickets during the anniversary and we get like the 77 unit summon, and they have the thing where it's like the last 3 units are guaranteed to be SSRs and stuff like that. The thing with this one is it's 150 stone summon for 30 units. So it's like doing 3 multis at the same time. But the only thing that they like hard coded into the summon was that the last unit is a guaranteed SSR. So even though you're essentially doing 3 multis at the same time, I got one of the worst ones I think I've seen in terms of screenshots that people have posted. I only got 2 SSRs. So my 150 stone summon was worse than doing 3 separate multi-summons, because I would have got 3 SSRs from doing that. But then I pulled Gotenks in like the next 50 stone summon after that, so can't really complain too much. Of course, the funny thing is for this banner, by Global having both characters on it at the same time, shout out to everybody out there, commiserations to all the people that really wanted Gotenks and then got like a Zeno or a Goku Black Rift or something, and then got Jiren instead, because obviously you can get either of them from the animation. I saw that happen to quite a few people. But yeah, I didn't pull Jiren, but I'm not too bothered about him. I'll pick him up later at some point, I'm sure. But I suppose at this point we can segue into him, because of course, whilst he didn't return for JP, he's been out on JP for a while. I'm sure you guys have both used him a decent amount. So, Vilify, what are your thoughts on LR Jiren? Should global players be disappointed if they didn't get him? What do you think?
Well, I crashed out when I saw that they put the trio on there on JP, because you can quote me on this episode. I said like, oh yeah, I'm coining Jiren in like 2 weeks, so I'm pretty excited about that. And so now I don't know when he's coming out. Maybe the anniversary banners, but who knows? If they want to be fully synced, then I guess he won't be there. But I don't know, like when I don't even know when the next like return slot would be for a Carnival LR. It's like, don't we go from the end of the anniversary till part 2 of Tanabata?
Yeah, single carnival banners are weird, aren't they? They're very sporadic.
Yeah.
Like,
so like because of like I said, it's like the thought, right? It's where it's like if they want to say they're fully synced, and then Jiren's on one of the part 2, like the carnival banners for the anniversary, and then you guys get on global gets like I don't know Omega, right?
I assume the banners would be the same regardless, but
right. So Jiren's just gonna rerun anyway. Like I don't know.
I would assume so.
So yeah, but so Jiren, right? This what's fun about this character is like we could literally talk about him in like because he's like 3 separate characters. You know, when they have the standby, we've got regular Jiren in the base, then we got the standby version of Jiren, and then the full power version of Jiren. One thing that I don't know if like maybe I'm just reading this wrong or maybe I'm just like this is a skill issue, but I feel like he's designed to go in slot 1 in the standby, right? Just defensively, how he is, the extra 350% defense. He's got the damage reduction. And then he also gives the attack support when he's in the, but the thing is, he has to be the second or third, like, to obtain orbs, right? So it's like on that team, like on the Universal Survival Saga team, I guess you're running him next to like a UI Goku or something like that. Cause like if you run him next to Tech Jiren is not going in slot 1. Unless I just can't play the game, right? Like, am I crazy, right? You're laughing, but I'm not saying he's good, right? Like who are you running Jiren next to?
You're not running Tech Jiren in slot 1, buddy.
That's what I said. Yeah, of course, right?
So you almost made me lightheaded, man.
Yeah.
I did not say you were supposed to do it. So you
I know. No. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying the general idea of it.
Right. So, you know, that's like one thing that kind of makes me mad with him, but he does epitomize the raw power of Jiren, especially when you get into that full power mode where, you know, this guy's easily creeping up into those 40 million, 50 million attack stats. He's got the extra damage reduction and stuff like that. The attack and defense plus 400% just innately. You don't need to have any like funky conditions or anything like that. So I'm a big fan of this character. It's a shame that I was not able to obtain him on JP via the thing, and then on the Gotenks situation, all I did was the 150 stone multi, and I ended up pulling Gotenks. So I ended up getting lucky. So because I didn't want to go deep on that banner, because I was trying to save as much as I could for anniversary.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like the big thing with that account specifically. But you mentioned 2 SSRs, Ningen. Isn't it a guaranteed featured SSR?
Yes. It was Tech Super Saiyan Kid Trunks. Let's go.
That's why we love carnival banners, baby.
That's why guaranteed features is always such an interesting like lure, but then it could just be like the worst featured unit on the banner. So
that's when I do should you summon
1 in 10
videos,
chance, but yeah,
right. It's when I tell people in should you summon videos, it's like that guaranteed featured is literally just there to incentivize you, right?
Yep.
The goal of the devs is not to have you save for anniversary. They're trying to get you.
That's why Gotenks is so good.
Right, exactly.
But shout out to all the absolute mad lads. I've seen screenshots of like there was one in the Discord, in my Discord, while I was still live, like after I'd done my summons. I think we were just starting to test out Gotenks because I know some people find that a superstition and don't do it, but I pre-farmed all of his medals, so I was able to just awaken him straight away. I'd pre-farmed a bunch of those STR Super Saiyan 3 Gotenkses, so we had them all good, ready to go. And then someone posted a screenshot of my Discord of the 150 stone summon with 3 Gotenkses and 2 Jirens.
Oh, you know, didn't
insane.
Didn't that Breakers YouTuber pull like 3 of each?
I don't know if it was 3, but Iron Kane got a really good one as well.
2 Gotenks and then 1 Jiren, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I saw some
Maybe
good screenshots. Across the community. So people got really lucky with that 150 stone summon. So
I had an IRL friend of mine who got Gotenks and Jiren in the same multi and the discounted one too. So.
Damn.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a tangent there. That's my fault. But the full power Jiren, aside from just like the mega giga chat attack stats that he's doing, like we have 71% damage reduction and a scouter for that first turn when you get into full power, right? And we all know how valuable that scouter is, right? We're talking like a character like Chilai, right? Like she still has that value from her scouter. STR Vegeta, it's a super overpowered mechanic. Tech Gogeta. Like I'm not saying Chilai is like, you know, a game an ace, but like the scouter just helps, right? Yeah. Like if you're running a character that can take normals but not a super, you know, you can protect them, right? Like that was always a big thing with STR Vegeta. Shout out to the God event. Y'all remember that strategy? Swipe up, find the super, put Tech Khalifa there, and go back out. But
outrageous. We do not encourage
Yeah,
that
so-
in this.
No, no. Look, guys, Ningen's a loser. He doesn't want to play with what the game gives him. They fixed the game to be like that, so it's in
Right.
grounds of being
But-
legitimate.
Nah.
Offensively, so this Jiren has phases where he's bringing the boom, he's bringing the offense, right? Then you also have some other defensive mechanics, right? 71% damage reduction with the defensive stats that Jiren's going to be able to put up is obviously very good, but it is a little bit of a quest to get there. But with the standby, it's not too bad, right? You're able to get into it pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure it's turn 3. Yeah, it can be activated from the third turn. It's not like you need Universe 11 allies. It's not like you need a character named Topo. None of that nonsense. Just turn 3, you can get it going. We can get into full power pretty soon, but you do have to get those orbs. It's very similar to full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but instead of it being, instead of needing to get hit 6 times, it's just hey, turn 3, let's get it going, right? But really, my only complaint with this character is that he has this cracked out support, but you have to run him against what his kid is designing him to do in order to get it. Because if he was just passively doing that, that would be a pretty big deal. But unfortunately, running him, like I said, I literally mentioned like a good linking partner for him to put in slot 1, and Minato's like over here losing his mind. So it's that's to show you the state of that character. But
I have things to say.
I like Jiren, right? Like I just think he's a fun character, and I want to talk more as much as you guys are talking about these characters rather than just talking for like 8 seconds and then letting y'all go. So shout out to Jiren. I like Jiren. He's a Chad, but could be.
I like Jiren too.
Fair play.
Okay. I have stuff I have to say about Jiren because I like Jiren as a character, and the kit itself. I think I'm just a Jiren fan, right? I think Jiren is a good designed character overall. There is 1 or 2 issues I have with him. I would, of course, recommend skipping because I don't think he's. Well, I think he's a good character and actually could be useful in a lot of different situations. I feel like he's not a character that you get him and it's like you're able to clear a specific type of content, except for the Universe 11 mission against Goku Frieza. But even then, I don't know if he's a requirement for you to clear that. Again, especially if you're using item support memory, bring him as a friend unit, right? Jiren himself, I think that I like his standby a lot because he can get 100% damage reduction.
Yeah.
So this guy, when you get that, he's unageable. He cannot age. He will you standby Jiren would be good in 5 years. That's just what it is. So I think Jiren is actually going to be a character that will age really well. Now, what other thing that I think I do like about him that'll help him with that is he has the disable enemy action. So again, only one of those attacks will of course be disabled, but again, you flow him off. Maybe he doesn't even if, 5 years, he takes a normal that's 300k. Maybe you could disable one of the normals and then he doesn't take damage or something like that, and then he comes back around and then he's invincible. So I could see some like how people use AGL PyCon or people use Int Fat Boo, or how they will use him. They tag androids, some very silly runs in the future with Jiren. But beyond that, his standby right now, incredible. Love it. Amazing. The best slot 1 in the game when you get that 100% reduction, just factual. When you transform him, I do get sad because he trades off his slot 1 viability for a scouter. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay. I personally would rather he's just good in slot 1 compared to him gaining a scouter. Because it's oh, I see the supers in slot 1 now, and my standby Jiren, who is designated as my slot 1 character, can't slot 1 anymore. So what do? Die? Yeah, apparently so, Yeah, you put Tech Jiren in there, perfect. Or you could put Tech UI there, for example, if you're running on the team, though. So there are options on the team that he has right now. I just think that the general idea of that is kind of silly, especially because as a character, he is designed to tank a super attack to get the extra attack boost, right? He gets the 50% attack with each super attack received. Multiplicative can give him some really good damage, but he only has it's funny for me to say this. He only has the 71% reduction with his starter turn stats not really being that high. He's a 500k defense starter turn or something.
Crazy world, huh? That's so crazy. That's bad.
It's just not enough. I don't know.
I agree. It's just crazy.
It's just the design. He should have, instead of the scouter, what if he guarded for one turn? And then he actually eats the super without like worrying about dying, and then he ages a lot better. And then it's like, oh, you could have standby Jiren for 2 turns, then you could have post standby Jiren for the turn, and you have 3 turns of invincibility.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea to me, honestly. Then he just nukes the boss, right? I think that they didn't do that, I guess, because they're like, oh, well, he's designed for the Goku Frieza fight anyways. It's like you get him out in the Goku Frieza fight, and then you just one-shot them before they even could get under 50% HP. But then it's just like, I hate when a character is designed for one specific fight, because the thing is that while I think Jiren is gonna age better than like full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, like I said earlier, it's the post standby Jiren is not. I think the post standby Jiren is designed specifically to be used in the final phase against Goku Frieza. But then because of that, it's like we move past that, and it's like, oh, you suck. That's just kind of what it's gonna be. But yeah, no. I think overall, I standby Jiren is like, he's kind of like hard carrying this card for me personally. I'm not gonna lie. Not saying the other parts are bad, but like, base Jiren is okay. When he came out, people were like, guys, he's doing 20 mil. He's so good. It's like, who's gonna tell him? Like,
I don't think we should hold that against the unit though. Like, he came out like well before.
Well, I mean, like, we had Tech UI out. We had even like Age of Ultimate Gohan, even like Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Like, all these characters were doing well more than damage that in turn 1. But I digress. For base form, fine. Transformation is fine. I would say good, not bad. Good. Standby, incredible.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Oh, beautiful. Well, that's my opinion.
It's a shame you can't just stay in them forever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many. We've got so many of these standby characters now that are like super good tanks. It's like Family Kamehameha Gohan is like not really doing a huge amount on turn 1, and then it's like, yep, put him straight in his standby. Then he's tanking. Then he drops that massive hit. And it's sometimes if the event's going on a little bit longer, it's like, can't I just stay in this mode for another turn?
Well, I mean, you could, but then you wouldn't be able to get.
But then you lose the Kamehameha, yeah, exactly. So
what I would say is that I would actually prefer to stay in standby Jiren for 1 extra turn, then transform into full power Jiren. Does that sound crazy?
In certain events, I could see, I could see it.
Like in the future, especially.
I think that's just a sign of poor design.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what I was saying about full power.
It's the same thing with these other characters that like you don't want to transform with, right? Like, I've made plenty of like little shorts covering that, right? Where you think about a character like AGL Dokkan Fest Trunks, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't Super Trunks one you don't want to transform? I forget.
No, Super Trunks is when he's actually good. It's just if you can get to him being Super Trunks.
Okay.
Well, he's a character that he's forced you like, he is a transformation character you don't choose. I mean,
right. It's like the turn 3. Okay, yeah. So God Goku, for example, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, with God Goku, it's less bad design. It's more like they tried to make him like, I guess, quirky or a phase finisher.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like, you transform him in the last turn of the event, basically. Like,
the thing is that he eventually would age out to a point where he can't be a phase finisher.
I think we're already there.
Yeah,
the
design philosophy in general.
Yeah.
It's the same with this Jiren, where it's like, eventually he's not going to be the character that like sits in slot 1 and tanks because he's not going to be guarded by type advantage, right?
Yep.
Something that'll smack you like a sack of bricks is he's almost 2 years old, God Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, I was sitting here saying like he's already been aged out. It's already been 2 years, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just mean just a man in general, but
yeah. So it's just like when these characters, you want to see the finished result of the standby, right? And when the character is like, oh, I'd rather keep them as standby, that means they're probably not designed properly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because my only experience with him, I didn't pull him. So my experience with him is using him as a friend leader. I did use him as a friend for doing that Universe 11 mission for the Goku Frieza. I just used Tech UI and then put like Tech Jiren, Int Topo, STR Dispo, and AGL Marcaria on the team. And then it was like Tech UI and AGL UI. But I will say, like, in the last phase, obviously, I was intrigued to see how much damage he would take. But I transformed Jiren into full power against Goku and Frieza, put him in slot 1, and then he dodged the super attack. So I don't know what the friend's build was, because I was intrigued to see how much he would take with that turn 1 damage reduction. But yeah, then he did like a 50 million attack stat and pretty much killed them in like one shot, and then I think Tech Jiren just like finished off the turn. So obviously he's, for that specific event, yeah, like he comes out, he does big damage, but like Minato was saying, he kind of is covered a little bit by having type advantage. Like if Goku and Frieza event came out now at the same time as him, but Goku and Frieza were tech, like the actual card, then yeah, it would definitely be a lot more tricky
like
for him in slot 1. But
even like type neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of those cards, I kind of agree, like you guys said, like he's not in any way like a bad unit, but he's nothing super crazy. Like I did my updated top 10 list today, and for me he's not even in the top 10 for LRs. So he's good, but I think it's because he can fit onto the other teams with other Universe Survival Saga and Realm of Gods characters, but like I guess you see Jiren and you think like Universe 11 kind of team setup, and like I don't have physical topo, so it's just like, yeah, it doesn't super appeal to me. But I mean, he's definitely a unit that can hit some crazy numbers, but outside of the standby, I agree, I definitely don't see him aging super well, which is a bit of a shame. But
he doesn't have a restriction though, right? You know, he's
yes,
just kind of Jiren.
Yeah, that
so
is good.
Like you could, like he is like, you know, like you said, Universe Survival Saga, you could throw him on Buhan's team. You could, he's a transformation boost character. He gives Tech Buhan his passive, and there's not really another standby character on that team. So like I guess unless you're no, actually no, that's Domain with Broly. Yeah, like another standby character on the Buhan's team, like who are you running? Not really anyone else. So then you could have Jiren kind of going around giving 70% support. Like if you're floating him around, you have the Domain up for Super Boo, and it's like that could be really powerful. And that's where I'm saying like Jiren, I think, you know, as a character without restrictions of the damage reduction 100%, he could actually age pretty nicely.
He is an ace on the Videl team. I'm looking at Defenders of Justice right now. This has some slap up.
Yeah,
we got.
Let's
think about it. We got Jiren, the Gammas, STR Gohan's actually.
I was gonna say Family Coming Out Gohan's on there, isn't he?
Yeah,
So.
we got Dispo, we got Topo, we got how do you say her name? Coquette.
Yeah, but like
Let's
you
go.
would use STR Gohan standby.
Yeah. So I was trying to make a heroes joke, right? Because a lot of the heroes characters are on Defenders of Justice.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, is there a Defenders of Justice heroes lead?
I don't think so.
Well, I would know. I'm looking at the category.
Is Vegeta on there? Because
no.
it's all the characters that are considered like part of the Time
So
Patrol.
Super Saiyan. So the
Defenders
most recent heroes character is Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Yeah.
So.
And then it's got Xeno Goku's or Limit Breaker Goku, Limit Breaker Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gohan. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to run Jiren on any of the heroes teams, unfortunately, but it was a good thought.
Well, it is what it is.
Go.
But yeah, he's a fun unit, but definitely not a must-have. He's just kind of not a must-have, but a fun to have for certain team builds. Yes. But that's why it is good for global. It's good and bad. It's a double-edged sword. Like I say, it's good that he's on the Gotenks banner because you could get that extra little bonus if you summon for Gotenks, where you could get Jiren as well. But obviously, you could get Jiren instead of Gotenks, so it is a double-edged sword scenario. But obviously, the banner is still out at the moment. I think it is overall still a good idea to skip, but yeah, Gotenks definitely fun, and Jiren, he's okay, but you know, it is what it is.
My advice was just and I did a should you summon, and I said if you're going to summon, just do the 150.
Yep.
Get that guaranteed featured SSR. I know it's 150 stones, but that's your highest chance at acquiring the character, objectively speaking. So don't get caught with the trap. There's no buy 3 get 1. It's just the regular banner is not worth it. I promise. That Zeno for Jiren's going to hurt if you're looking for Gotenks. So.
Yeah, that's just
150
brutal.
And just be done. If you get lucky, you get lucky. You don't, you don't.
Yep. 100%.
I promise you, Anniversary Super Vegeta is going to be 4 times better. So
yeah. Well, one thing we did speculate about with, I think it was before the banner came out. One of the big things, that was actually the thing that for me was like the final nail in the coffin, was when they brought out the sails with the blue stones. And that was before the banner became live, and obviously the banner ended up having physical Angel Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta on it, and then when you looked at the list of units that were available to get with the blue stone, all of the units that cost 2 blue stones to exchange for were all LRs with EZAs, except for physical Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta. So the writing was very much on the wall at that point, and then of course it was announced not long after that he was indeed getting his EZA, and that has released very recently. And so yeah, we're going to talk about him now. Physical Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta, definitely a good pick for the EZA, obviously with Buu Saga getting the new lead, all those other Goku units being added to the Buu Saga category. This guy is in a much better place even than when he first came out. Like even when he first released, there wasn't a huge amount of top tier options for like a Majin Buu Saga Goku, whereas now we've got quite a few different things going on. So Minato, I'll start with you this time. So what are your thoughts on physical Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta?
I like him. I think he's pretty solid. I think it's a thing of, as a yellow coin LREZA, he's what I expect, right? I'm not expecting him to be like some of the better top 5 kind of range character in the game, but I think he's released in a perfect time where there's tons of good Majin Buu Saga Gokus. I think there's tons of really good slot 1 Majin Buu Saga Gokus, right? Specifically the Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku from Golden Week. But you have some other Gokus floating around like Super Saiyan 2 Int Angel Goku. You could even run the Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku team and then have Tech Gogeta floating around, which you would count as just a Goku, just not Majin Buu Saga specifically. I guess I should think about that, right? But even like if you want to get away with S tier Super Vegito, not really a crazy option anymore, but you could. Unfortunately for that Super Vegito, actually, he kind of aged pretty bad. But Vegeta himself, I think he's quite nice. I think as a slot 2, slot 3 character, he's able to get some pretty decent defenses. With the guard up, he's able to very comfortably tank normals and a lot of different super attacks. The hardest hitting supers like Gogeta Janemba, slot 1 turn, or not slot 1, turn 1 could kind of just kill him, right? But once he gets his active skill up, or on a really, really supported setup, I think he's able to do pretty good defensively even against those supers. But offensively, this guy is very consistent. I think the one only issue I have is that he has no built-in crits, right? So he's able to do these really big attack stats, but it's like you have to build him full crit in the hidden potential system, or he's just kind of gonna, like, you'll see these big attack stats, but you really feel the difference in a character that's like more offensively built, not have crits, like kind of going off at a much more consistent rate. I think that's just my issue with him personally. I feel like, even if they gave him like added to his passive high chance to crit when keys 24 or when active skills activated, like even just again a 50% built-in chance to crit would make a huge difference at a consistency rate. And even if you still give him crit in the hidden potential, you just want to make sure you are getting those crits off as much as possible, right? Because even with like a full hidden potential build, unless you give this guy 25 crit, he's not even going to be matching up to like high chance to crit or great chance to crit. Will never be met, right? But yeah, I like him. I think his support is also another nice thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about. The 60% support defensively he can give. It is counted as start of turn support, but it still is just a nice little addition to have, especially for your slot 1 Super Saiyan 3 Gokus, or even if you have Gotenks to slot 1, right? I like him. There's not really, besides not having crit, I'm not looking at this guy and there's something about him that I'm like, yeah, I don't like this, right? I think he easy in a good spot. He overall has great link sets, good damage, nice defenses, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It is an indication though. It's so funny how you how type disadvantage can really like play into like what you're saying about no crits, right? Because I've changed my Vegeta's build now, but I had a clip I did a run against Goku and Frieza, and on the active skill turn against Goku and Frieza, my Vegeta did a 60 million attack stat super and didn't crit, so he did 0 damage. It's absolutely insane. So
I know that physical characters without a crit, they have to do like a like a 57 million attack stat to still damage Goku Frieza.
Well, like he did 60 and did 0, so
oh, he did 60. There's probably a lot more
wild.
than I.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet about it. I just forgot what it was. Maybe it's because he's super. It was Broly Trio that I saw.
Oh yeah, because Extreme does extra damage to Super, don't they? But yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. So yeah, crits definitely would be really nice for him because nothing is more disappointing than seeing a huge attack stat and then you don't do any damage. But yeah, Vilify, what are your thoughts on this guy right here?
I think Minato really kind of summed it up very well, and rather than kind of just repeating what he said, I think that he hit the nail on the head with the talk of him being a yellow coin LR EZA, right? Where we talk about characters like the Broly trio, like even STR UI Goku, right? Where the expectation isn't through the roof, and then sometimes we can be pleasantly surprised. We think about the damage that a character like Tech LR Broly was putting out during the worldwide download celebration, but this Vegeta, I think he fits well on a team that, this isn't like Legends, right? Like Majin Buu Saga could definitely use help. Like this team, is it the most dry team ever? No, but it could still use extra assistance. I found it funny, Ningen, when you mentioned earlier, you're like there weren't many top tier Goku options for Majin Buu Saga, and I was thinking just like in my head where I was thinking it's like wasn't STR Vegito like a Goku Majin Buu Saga Goku, and he was like the number 1 unit in the game.
Like
at
in
the time.
2020.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, I think that's what he was talking about when he came out.
Oh, back when he came out originally, yeah. I think obviously he was meant to be around with the S tier Vegito.
Yeah, the problem at the time, I did realize as soon as I said it, I kind of forgot about him. Although the problem at the time was obviously once you then fused into Vegito, which you ideally did want to do as soon as possible, you then didn't have a Buu Saga Goku on the rotation anymore, which was annoying. But yeah, I did kind of forget about him in the early turns. Like he would be the go-to one because he was the Part 2 LR for his release, wasn't he? So yeah.
I feel like maybe like I'm being dramatic, but like what if on the attack or so on the regular 18 key, it wasn't just like a raise attack and defense? What if it was just like greatly raised attack and defense, right? Or even with the unit super, like why massively raise attack and defense? Like I feel like they could have made this guy a little bit better. But like 50% defense on super is still good, and the support that he's what's it called? Is that even support? Yeah, so he gets support right here. I'm just reading the kit, keeping myself up to date, right? After allies attacking in the same turn have obtained a key sphere, we're getting defense plus 10, so that does help, right? This is like such a weirdly worded character. Am I crazy?
It's a
plus
new mechanic, yeah.
Defense.
When I was translating it, I was like,
yeah.
Ox, it's a very awkward wording, and I obviously like
right. So like
get it, like how the global
because I'm looking at it right now, right? It says like plus an additional attack and defense plus 10% each time key rises by 1. Like why isn't that just per key sphere obtained, right?
Like I think it's just because it's like it wants. They could have worded it in a way as a max of X key spheres, but like the thing is,
it's
sometimes
more familiar. Sorry.
Well, no, because sometimes Vegeta will be starting to turn off like at 20. Like let's say a situation where he's massively supported, he's starting off at like 22 key. Then it's like it's supposed to be at 24 key, right?
So you'll still max it. You'll max him out with 4 orbs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It works. So 24 key, he's going to be at his highest. Like
yeah,
that works.
It's just it's a really weird way of wording, because I had people ask me that. It's like, so if he starts the turn at 24 key, does that mean he doesn't get any buffs because his key can't rise? And it's that's what no, because it means they have to. It's a really tricky kind of unit to design from like the numbers side, like the people that do the coding and everything, because you'd have to take into account how powerful he's going to be like at his max and at his like minimum, because like if you're starting the turn, even if you just have double 3 key leads and he had no like links active or anything, he's already got 6 key, so he's already got 6 instances of his key raising by 1. And so if you've started the turn, like Minato said, you're at like 18 or like 20 key, you've already got all of those procs already. Like it's a very confusing way of doing it. Like it's odd.
It's yeah, so like when I was saying that's like when I was talking to you, like Minato, and I said earlier when I'm like, why isn't it just per key sphere obtained? Like I understand what he's doing. It's just such a foreign like way of designing a character compared to like how they usually do it. So I don't know. Maybe they could have just made it a little less complex. Yeah, because
it's like when I was translating it, it was kind of worded like when all allies attack in the same turn, collect key spheres, increase defense of all allies 10% for
Right.
each meter after your meter is 18. So it's like it would start at 18, then
This is
every meter
Yep.
that you gain. Like it's just that's obviously that's how it works, but it's like wording it is weird
Yeah,
to put
so
it
weird.
in
this.
wording. That's why it confuses people.
Yeah, I'm looking. This is the most horribly worded like line of passive in the game. Let's just someone has never played this game before, right? So all right. So here's what Vegeta does. After all allies attacking the same turn have obtained a key sphere, all allies defense plus 10%, self excluded per key obtained by the character himself. Count starts in 18 key. What the hell does that mean? I'm just reading that and I was confused, trying to read over this kit real quick, make sure I'm not forgetting anything.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading that. I almost almost gave myself a stroke reading it. Right? I'm like, what are they saying?
Yeah, it's so weird. Also, wasn't it the fact that the way it's worded, it made it seem like he had guard straight away, but he actually doesn't get it until he attacks, right? That was something I saw people confused about when he came out.
I think that's just because that's just a thing of how it works in the game versus how it's worded. It's weird in general because the game doesn't recognize what key you're gonna be at until you actually attack.
Yeah.
Right. Unless it specifies otherwise. But that's just where Dokkan just gets really weird, and some of these old mechanics meshing with these new mechanics, and then unless you're really knowledgeable or have been playing for a while, these things are gonna get confusing to you. Like how SGR Broly or In Ultimate Gohan, they're characters that came out super long ago, right? I think it was 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
So they're when key is 7 or more, get this buff. But then back then, it used to be calculated start of turn. Then at a certain point, they started putting it as a multiplicative buff. So then that's why some of these old EZAs came out, like STR Broly came out. And a lot of people were thinking that his stats were going to be higher than they actually ended up being because of the fact that it actually calculated start of turn and not multiplicative. That's another thing. But yeah, again, whenever it's a thing of when keys 18 or more, when keys 12 or more, like Gotenks, it always will be once they're attacking, unless it's when keys 18 or more when receiving an attack. When keys 18 or more when grabbing key spheres, because then it specifies another time for it, right?
Yeah, so he's not a slot 1 unit, but obviously he can definitely get out to some good numbers. Buu Saga team. I think the interesting thing is that support makes it so that he's a unit that you could quite easily run as just a floating unit on the Buu Saga team, depending on how you want to build it. Because obviously, ideally, you'd want to Goku on both rotations if that is the case. Shout out to my boy STR Dragon Fist Goku as well, being added to the Buu Saga. I still love running that unit. I also really like the fact that he's actually kind of good for the Goku Frieza fight, because he's got type advantage against 17 and Frieza. It doesn't tank the best, obviously, if he gets hit with a super by them, but his raw defense after supering is good. But the thing is, if you use his standby against Goku and Frieza, they always super attack in slot 1, so you always get that Dragon Fist counter in slot 1. And especially if you're going into the turn where they're below 50% HP, having that unit on the rotation that can essentially guaranteed get you past their super attack is really, really good. So I've always been a big fan of that unit, and the fact that we have that event now on Global and he's very useful in it is very, very
aged well. Yeah, for
definitely.
Sure. Him and Hirudegarn can kind of be tough sometimes. Same with Goku though. Again, Goku gets locked slot 1 in 17. That boy 50% dodge could very easily die. Hirudegarn doesn't have that issue, but then in the physical phase, the Goku Frieza phase is very tough. But I think that both of them have aged pretty nicely for being, again, almost a year old. That's because they're dodge characters though. But because usually New Year's characters don't age that well. I can't say that people using Age-O Pycon to this day, but
Orange Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo. Actually, maybe New Year's characters are.
Then you look at Kid Buu, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right?
I think they're a little different, but yeah.
Are they?
Because they're right before gamer set power group. They're not before
Wouldn't we call Ninth Annie? Wouldn't we?
I wouldn't say game resetting, but it was a bigger power group than other ones.
Definitely bigger than 8th.
Yeah, but not near year 7.
Yeah,
I guess that's fair.
But yeah,
like Orange Piccolo was still viable and wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are characters you could end up like people used Android 21 in the Gogeta fight, right?
People use the tech androids in the thing.
Yeah, so like there is like I think that's a thing of it didn't completely age out the rest of the game. Like the
I'm being dramatic. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, he's very good for a yellow coin EZA as well. Also, shout out to 10 stage EZAs. It's much more preferable. Please, Dokkan, make them all 10 stages from now on.
I'm doing the Vegeta one right now.
But yeah, very, very good. So we did talk about in the last episode, we did actually get the details for the other two EZAs. But they did the strange thing where we got the data download, we got all the details for Ulma Gohan Super EZA, who we talked about last week, and then we got the details for the Super Saiyan 2 Angel Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transform into Super Saiyan 3 and Majin Vegeta, but we didn't actually get their EZA until a week later. So after the episode, the last episode aired, we then actually got their EZAs in game. So I thought we could go over them very quickly. Obviously now in terms of in game, they've been out for a bit over a week or so now, so we should have had a decent amount of chance to use them. I know Minato and I have already had a bit of a back and forth about the transformation conditions. So Minato, why don't you start me off? What do you think about the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Vegeta?
I think they're good still. I think they're definitely very good. They are usable in difficult content, 100%. I think depending on the event, Goku's better. Depending on the event, Vegeta's better. I feel like if I'm running Gogeta and Janemba fights, I would 100% take Goku over Vegeta. If I'm running Goku Frieza, I would take Vegeta over. Same with Bulma, I would also take Vegeta over. So it depends, like, because I think Vegeta's issue, right, is that, I think the issue with these characters is the transformation conditions because it's not something. These characters nowadays are so complex. You have like, depending on if you get the hidden potential system, even, but depending on if you get the additional and one character's passive and additional procs, one other character procs and additional super, one character gets a crit, one character doesn't get a crit. Like all these different things in these characters, like as the whole team against this boss, you can't control the RNG aspects for all of these characters now. It's not like even it was back in the day where these characters are just kind of more straightforward. There's so many variables you can't control that'll lead to sometimes the boss will be at this HP level, sometimes they won't, right? Unless you go out of your way to make your team worse. And at that point, it's like you're risking yourself, right? Um, so that's their transformation conditions could be like, okay, I decide to keep Vegeta on rotation because I'm gonna enter a new phase. But then oops, I actually end up one-shotting that phase that turn because my Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks just is like, yeah, I'm gonna get an additional super, and then my Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku's like, yeah, I'm also gonna just quad super, and they're dead because the team is a mega damage wire. You know what I mean? Like it's very silly. And obviously these guys really want to be a Majin Buu saga, which is why I bring that up specifically because of the Rainbow Orb changing. That's really important for them. And it just, especially on that team, it's kind of not something you could really get controlled. And I've done multiple runs with these characters across different events and teams, and I've had multiple scenarios where you just can't transform with them. And it is what it is. Maybe if you get them, if you get them slot 7, maybe sometimes, right? Depending, like it just it's I think it's a bigger issue now than it was on release, which is really funny because they made the restrictions easier. Like I said, you can't control the other 5 characters on your team like that. You'd be like, okay, don't actually get this third super and actually don't crit on this attack, and then I could do it. Just like, don't do it, guys, please. Please, guys. You know what I mean? And then the issue with Vegeta Super Saiyan 2. He has the 50% reduction. I love it, except he dies. Doesn't matter. Like the hardest, like Gogeta Janemba, he just gets one shot. Like, I can't transform. They actually fell under 50%. Oh, I'm dead. Goodbye. And even like 17 Frieza, you don't transform him. He'll just probably get one shot by them. Unless you are entering the turn under 50% HP and he gets the guard. And I think he would live, but it's not like he's like tanking anything crazy. He's like just a decent tank at best. Their damage is pretty mediocre, right? He's doing like what, double 10 mils. Woo! It's when you transform into Majin Vegeta that he's absolutely busted, amazing, insane, disgustingly good. I wouldn't say I put him over Beerus, but I think that you could argue some points into why you think he's better than Tech Beerus. But then it's a thing of you have to go out of your way to transform him. And then, when he's on that Majin Buu Saga team, he's like a god. He's looking really good. May not be like the best slot one viable character on that team, but he's not going to be dying. He's going to be doing like triple 30 mils with super effective. And then with the 66% reduction on guard, like I said, he's just not dying. Like he is absolutely insane when he transformed, which is why I would personally rate him still pretty high. But I just like hate his base form. I think it just his base form is the more I use it, the more I hate his base form. And I think it's really bad. The more I use Goku, the more I actually like him personally. I think that he's gonna actually age well. I think that he has 70% dodge, and he will, of course, be more dodge or die, especially in the future. But I think people I like Vegeta still overall. I also do like Goku. I think I like Goku more than a lot of people do. And I think an issue with these dual EZAs is that people look at Vegeta and they're like, oh, Majin Vegeta is so good. Super Saiyan 3 Goku is not as good. Goku sucks. But Goku is still really viable. And it's a thing of, like, if we compare Goku and Vegeta to, again, the Gogeta Jinama fights, Goku has a better chance at living because the one thing that actually kills you in those fights is the super attacks. Unless you gave Vegeta hidden potential dodge and you get that off, Goku will have a much greater chance at survivability in that event. But then, you could say, look at Vegeta in the 17 Frieza fight. He's not type disadvantage in a dodge disable phase as a dodge character, right? But I still think Goku, with his 70 and then eventually 80% chance dodge, if you don't have issues transforming with him, as a Rainbow Orb Changer too, is nice, right? As well. I think that he probably will age better than Vegeta in all realities, especially if you continue personally to have issues with transforming. 70% dodge Goku, Super Saiyan 2 Angel, is probably going to be better than the 50% reduction Vegeta that's also Rainbow Orb changing, just because, like I said, the super attacks is at the end of the day what really kills you. But I would say I like Vegeta better than Goku overall still, just because Majin Vegeta is that guy. Majin Vegeta is that guy. We cannot be like, oh, Majin Vegeta sucks. No, Majin Vegeta is that guy. So, anyways, after all this rant and my frustrations, I do like them. I would say Goku Super Saiyan 2 is better than Vegeta Super Saiyan 2, but then Majin Vegeta shits on Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I shouldn't have said that word. Whoopsie. Majin Vegeta is way better than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Sorry to get. Look. Sometimes it's like we're like, what? How long are we in? It's like an hour. It's okay. It just okay. I won't say it again. I apologize. I just feel very strongly about these characters because I've been talking about them. Anyways, I'm very exaggerated. What do you think, Dingan?
What is there left to say?
No, because Ningen has a very different idea about the transformations.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out. I don't know. I think you're muted. I don't know.
We joke about it, and I said I memed at Minato about his having a skill issue when because I think the comment that specifically it was is because I made my tier list for EZAs and I put Vegeta at number 1 above Tech Beerus, and Minato was like, "Oh yeah, this guy at number 1. You can't even get his transformation half the time." And so, of course, the immediate reply was skill issue because every time I've used him since his EZA, I get his transformation. Obviously now, of course, as it's been out a little bit longer, there is the odd occasion where you don't get it, and it is true. I mean, I must just get luckier than you, I guess, but
it could be.
There is that, it is a RNG at the end of the day, but he is absolutely correct that you don't have control over everybody else on the team, right? So it can happen that like other units just decide to get extra supers or they get all crits in the turn, and then you do get through the phase either quicker or slower than you had anticipated, and then they can get stuck in that scenario where they just constantly keep coming onto the rotation when the enemy is already on too low HP, and there's nothing you can do about that. So that can be super annoying. But yeah, I mean, Vegeta, like I say, transformed, I think he is number one in terms of the EZA. He does everything better than Beerus apart from like tanking a super in slot 1, but he's on teams that have really good slot 1 tanks. So the fact that that's like the only thing that he can't really do, I feel like he has better versatility, like better more teams, better links. He hits harder, literally has higher damage reduction, like percentage wise. He has higher defense and higher damage reduction. He hits harder, has built-in additionals. Like it's literally just that tanking in slot 1 is like the only thing that Beerus is better at than this Majin Vegeta.
I would say supporting as well, just the stat support.
Yeah, a bit of support is nice as well, but again,
yeah,
the teams are pretty crazy.
I think that you make a very strong point there.
But yeah, I think, and I don't know if it's a lot of people was quite surprised. Like I put Goku way further down the list. I think Goku's terrible in comparison to Vegeta. And again, that could just be personal experiences with RNG, because like even though he has 80% chance to dodge, which on paper seems good, like if he doesn't dodge, he's getting destroyed. Like, and the problem is the trade-off is they gave Vegeta like the best of both worlds, right? Like he's ridiculous. If you get the 6 orbs, he's ridiculously tanky, but he's also hitting these like massively high attack stats. And then there's Goku that's doing like 16 mil, and if he gets hit, he gets killed. So it's like they gave Vegeta everything for once, rather than having them be a bit more balanced. But Vilify, I know you said Minato pretty much covered most things. Is there anything you want to add about these guys? Do you have anything? Are you a believer in Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, or do you hate him as well? No, I need to know.
Well, you were talking all about Vegeta and Beerus. What does Vegeta do turn 1 though?
Yeah, that is true.
That's true. The turn 1 stocks, baby.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying, right? I mean, listen, I'm a believer in dodge. I was full like 0 dodge on my AGL UI Goku for a long time, and then I got cyberbullied into changing it. But it's I'm a like I said, I'm a believer in that 80%. I'm not in the haha funny. It's more like 70% not the dodge, right?
Yeah.
Both characters are fine. Like I said, I think it felt like Minato went on for 35 minutes. So
I know it did. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying. I just feel like listen, you're more knowledgeable about Dokkan than I am. I think you covered them much better than I would have. But I like both the characters, and it's super fun seeing these like OG units that I feel like got a lot of people into the game, like get this love, right? It's like when we saw like AGL Gogeta Blue get his EZA, that was really fun for the nostalgia, because that was the character that got me into the game. Granted, however he aged doesn't really matter. It was still just kind of fun to see him be, relevant again.
Yeah.
But yeah, fine EZAs, and comparison, unfortunately, is the thief of joy. So when you do these 2 at a time like this, people always gotta, like which one's better, which one's worse. But
yeah.
I wrote this on the outline for the episode, but. Minato, I know that I think specifically you were talking about. I don't know if it was on Twitter, I don't know if it was in here, but I think you said that like maybe it was the base form or the other forms that like people were overrating the gap between the characters. I don't remember which form that was.
These 2, just in general, I think people act like the gap is way wider overall than what they actually are. Like I see people I've heard, like I mean, Ningen is an example of I've seen like I don't think you're necessarily underrating or overrating per se, but I feel like you had Vegeta at 1 and then you had Goku at 10.
No, I think he was at like 7. I think I don't know if he was at 10.
Even then, I feel like the gap is not that much, and then it's like I personally have Vegeta at 3, and then I think I had Goku at 6. Yeah, because I had Full Power Frieza and Ultimate Gohan between those 2. And I just think when you consider both short events and long events and the transformation editions, sometimes, at least for me, if you're like again, Ningen as a person who had the runs where he's like, oh, I transform every run, and then I'm someone who like I had difficulties transforming. We're obviously going to have different viewpoints on that as well, so that could 100% be something that goes into the equation that people don't consider. When I respond to Ningen, I like to do it in a funny way, because just a silly joking way. it helps bring the attention to the tweet in the video for him, right? And we help each other out like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But and at the end, it's all good fun. It's just a Dokkan list, right? What were you gonna say, Billfly?
I was joking. I was like, do I have to pay for that?
Actually, yeah. You owe me 10-cent royalty for every view. But no.
every retweet is $4. You guys don't know that.
Yeah, no. But jokes aside, I just think that people act like Goku. Like, it's funny because Goku is gonna realistically also age better than a lot of these characters out right now, just purely by the basis of being a dodge character, right? That doesn't mean that just because he's going to age better that he is better right now. But I think that the thing is he has, again, he's a rainbow orb changing like just dodge character. 70% dodge turn 1 is still not something that a lot of characters get, especially as a rainbow orb changer.
Yeah.
Then I think, when he's transforming, 80% dodge is something that it's very rare for characters to just start off at like that. I think where they missed with Goku is they gave him multiple avenues for crit that add up to way more than 100%. It's a thing of like he gets the 70% with the Rainbow Key Sphere, but then he gets guaranteed when you get the 6 Key Spheres, but then if you fall under 50%, he gets another 30%. It's I think what they should have done is Goku is of course designed to be the more offensive of the two, and Vegeta is like kind of more like the defensive tanky aspects, while they both have attributes from each other. Goku with the Rainbow Orb, I think he should have just gotten another guaranteed additional super attack. That would add a lot to his damage, especially as he is guaranteed critting. And then even defensively, it'll make him more comfortable in terms of tanking normals. I feel like Super Saiyan 3 Goku especially, he has higher defense than probably a lot of people would give him credit for, I think, because they view him as dodge character. And, a lot of people, when they think of dodge, it's usually dodge or die, but he has defense a lot of the times to pretty easily tank these normal attacks still, and that's an 80% dodge chance against the super. So that's where I'm like, I think Goku's, it's more so Goku being underrated overall than Vegeta. I think Vegeta is like, if you put him at 1, 2, or 3 at the end of the day, I really don't actually care. It's like a tier list. Though I would say,
what do you mean? It's ride or die, baby.
I personally think Beerus is just definitely better. Oof. But that's where it's like, I like that Beerus is just Beerus, if that makes sense. And Vegeta is a character where it's like, he's not always just Majin Vegeta.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's where you could make that argument too. But I also think that slot 1 tanking is still the most important thing in the game, whether or not a team is like it's necessary on a certain team or not. Especially when it comes to things like locking, attack patterns, other things like that, where you can't necessarily control every situation. But yeah, no, I think it's whatever. I just think that Goku needs a little more love and appreciation at the end.
This reminds me of a very similar situation with a Goku and Vegeta EZA. Because you mentioned it earlier, right? I think the 6-year EZAs could be kind of comparable to this. Maybe not in terms of like how good they are, like overall, but we talk about how it's like, oh, Evolution Blue Vegeta is 2 and UI Goku is 3, right? Like Evolution Blue Vegeta, because of the damage reduction in the guard, is better. And here we are, 8 months, 9 months later, and UI Goku's probably just better now.
Yeah, I would say I definitely like UI Goku better.
I mean, it's mainly he's mainly a turn 1 merchant, UI Goku.
Yeah.
Like if we're really getting down to the nooks and crannies of it, it really is that turn 1 that puts him like above him. But like he's still like 77% chance to dodge that gets higher is still cracked out, right? Like we're talking 4 dodges, we're at 100%. So it's still like these they feel very like eerily similar, where it's like we're probably going to see, like you said, the Super Saiyan 2 Goku age a little bit better when we're 2 years down the line here. But who knows? They probably both won't be runnable in 2026, but you never know.
It'd be funny. We're just having all these discussions, and year 10 is like, yeah, everyone sucks, actually. Too bad.
Yeah.
Nah, don't do that.
7 year all over
like,
again.
Okay. Right.
I can use the coin that I still want to use, so don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that again, and like unless they want to do another leader
Character, I think characters are just too good. Unless they, like you said, they go to 230, they go to 300% for some reason, right?
Oh my god, 300%.
Like,
If they do 300%, we need a numbers crunch. That's what we
yes,
need.
Yeah.
'cause, like where is like Tech Broly hitting on a 300% leader skill, right? Are we talking like 150 million for free?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Probably
Maybe higher, right?
Like that's
Yeah.
that's
And I don't
that's
want
an extra
like
200% to leader. That's doubling the leader skills, basically.
that's like the last thing that Dokkan needs, because this game balance shouldn't exist. It is purely a dopamine simulator, right? Give me the 400 million attack stats. Give me the 5 million defensive stats. That's bad. You know, when we're going to be talking about it like that in 2 years, where it's like, oh, this character only has 2 million start to turn defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's when we got to consider it. But I don't want a numbers crunch. I want these 100 million attack stats. But that's just me. I don't know.
Fair.
Maybe you guys are different. I don't know.
I don't know, because I just think the numbers is like it's gonna have to eventually happen, or they're gonna have to find some way around it. Just because of the fact that, like, again, where we're gonna be like year 12, we're gonna be doing like 250 mil or something. Like we had Tech Broly is like, oh, he's hitting 100 mil,
Pretty
like,
easy
for situations. Like obviously
Yeah.
we're talking about the EZA Tech Broly. So it's like a thing of we go through multiple years of power creep, we're gonna have characters eventually hitting 150 mil, 170 mil, like on like these mega powerful turns, And if we think about characters with additionals, right, they could do well over 100 mils worth of damage already. Just like S tier Gohan is an example of that, right? So yeah.
That's not even considering any potential leader skill buffs as well, where we could see the 230, we could see the 250, maybe a 210. Maybe it's like, maybe we do just go to the 200 with an additional 30%, right?
I think the only issue is that people are going to see smaller number and be like, weaker character, I'm not summoning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny because we talked about Vilify mentioned it earlier, right? When it's like after the power creep has shifted a little bit, and then it's like if you've played the game for a while, and then you're seeing these numbers, and it's like, oh, that's bad now, apparently. Because it was like the showcase that I did recently, I think it was like a 55% showcase for somebody. And it was like the unit did like a 10 million attack stat, and it was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Like, 55%, and then someone in the comments was like, bro thinks 10 million attack stat is still good. And it's like, imagine saying that to somebody like, 2 years ago or something, like, yeah, 10 million attack stat's not good anymore. Like,
No sense of appreciation.
Crazy.
So like, yeah, so here's just a good example, right? I'm giving Truth get some free promo here, right? The Bergamo showcase, right? Remember when he came out? And Truth is over there losing his mind over like a 600k defensive stat. And at the time it was justified. But you look at that now and it's like, oh, this character has 650,000 defense and no guard, no damage reduction. Oh, he's horrible.
Yeah. And it's like when stackers were first able to get up to 1 million defense, how crazy that was. And now it's like, oh, this unit only has 1 million defense, so they're dying to like all the supers from the hardest bosses. Like, yeah, that's crazy. Well, speaking of the hardest bosses, we can talk very briefly because we mentioned it a few times already when talking about some of the other units and where we've been using them. Obviously, it's new to Global, finally, after nearly 6 months. But we finally have the Goku and Frieza fight on Global. And I think it's very interesting because obviously... I mentioned it again in the tier list that I put out today. Like, it is a new fight to consider, whereas obviously for global players we didn't have that before, so it kind of has turned some unit evaluations on their head. But one big thing I wanted to bring up, obviously you guys have had the event for a while because it's been out on JP, and now we're getting to experience it for the first time. I've seen a lot of mixed... Well, I say mixed. I've not really seen many people thinking that it's good. But what are your thoughts on the whole, obviously in the last phase against Goku Frieza, it's another one of these like damage threshold, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's like a bar set for damage. And if you don't hit that bar, you don't do damage. And obviously, one of the things you guys know, like, I've always been pushing the Heroes agenda, and we know that team can beat Goku and Frieza. But, like, in the same vein as Heroes, I've always enjoyed taking on events with, like, meme teams or, like, challenge teams. But when you start putting in things like this, like, there are certain teams that even if you somehow manage to, like, skin of your teeth luck your way all the way to Goku and Frieza, you just won't win because no one on the team can actually do damage to them. Bear in mind like the fact that they would probably kill you very quickly, but even if you could find a way to build a team that was defensive enough to survive multiple turns against them, obviously if you can't do damage to them, you can't win. So, what are your thoughts on Vilify? I'll start with you, but like, what are your thoughts on that as a mechanic? Is it something you like? Do you think it's something we'll see more of going forward? Like, what are your thoughts on that as a new sort of difficulty mechanic, I guess, if you want to call it that?
Yeah. Where's the energy that people were bringing for the Bulma fight, huh? Is this just a gimmick fight? But on a serious note, right? I think that this is sort of this event is like a Frankenstein monster of all the annoying things that bosses do in the game. And then just to add insult to injury, and that's just another middle finger, right? We're going double fisted now. Here's a damage threshold and the 5 million super attack when you get him to low HP. Like, good luck. Figure out what you got to do, right? But this is like, obviously the way that they designed this event was Jiren is going to destroy Goku and Frieza, and then Tech UI is going to kind of get you past that 17 and Frieza phase. That's the one that disables the dodging, right? Because 17 is the one that locks you. So it's like, here, what is everything that you hate about this game? I believe locking.
Rotation locking is the number one for me.
Right, it's got to be locking.
Yep.
But then what? So you can so like you said with the meme teams, right? You can get past the lock. You get lucky with your dodges. You can get past dodge disabling, right? You just happen like a character that does a ton of damage. But what happens? Well, I guess even a ton of damage wouldn't matter because then like the damage negation wouldn't apply to that. But you know what I'm saying? Like that phase you can get through that phase, maybe with a revive, maybe with an action break. But what are you supposed to do when you get to that last phase? Like you said, it can be frustrating. Yeah, exactly. But use Chi-Lai for the scouter when the super is in slot 1 every single time.
I'm the item.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. But Ningen, can you read how I wrote this out on the outline by chance? That first bullet point there.
Wait, so which one have we got? Goku. Oh, global babied as always. Worldwide download celebration plus for the fight. Because it's the final example of the.
We're finally done with this nonsense where global players get to say that wasn't so bad. Yeah. Right. But I'm kind of just making jokes. But I think that this fight, I do like the way that this fight will challenge you, and it's not just a just put your head down, superhero it, and be done. Right. Because AGL UI Goku, he is absolutely toast if you don't have Tech UI Goku around in that 17 of Frieza fight. He cannot take a normal. I don't think there's a situation where he can. Maybe the active skill turn, but you're not using that in that phase, be honest. But I had a train of thought and I completely lost it.
One thing I do want to say. Oh no, I thought you were gonna be done, but
so with that superheroes team, like again, you're kind of like with AGL UI on the team. If you don't have Tech UI around, you're kind of just relying on that revive, right? I think that's kind of something that I've strategized around with playing that event because that's one. Minato and I obviously have had a little bit more experience playing that fight. It's like with that phase specifically, it's like, okay, I need to make sure that this revive is active because we're gonna lose here. It's like, am I gonna save something for post revive, and then especially going into the turn after that, if you could somehow get the UI Goku revive, kill on the next turn, and then have UI Goku for slot 1 in the next turn, that's going to be a really good setup because he has the guaranteed dodging after the revive. Yeah. So you get turn 1 again essentially, and that's going to be the same case with Evolution Blue Vegeta. So you're going to have that the guard up on top of the damage reduction. But really, I think that I don't know if the attack raising under 50% HP was necessary because we are reaching a point, especially with some of these characters. Like I know they were designed around Jiren, but you really do get to a point where some of these characters are just like they can't take it, right? Like a 55% Beast Gohan, he's not getting through that. At 100%, I've seen it, right? It can get tough, but overall a fun fight. I think this is how the game needs to challenge players because we really did get to a point, especially before the Goku and Frieza fight and like the worldwide download celebration fights, where it was like, this is stupid. This Beast Gohan team. It's like you put your phone down and you win. And I think they did a decent job with this Goku and Frieza fight of making it so that isn't the case. This is where AGL UI can lose you a run if he doesn't dodge. Evolution Blue Vegeta will take a lot. Beast Gohan will take a lot from the Super. And when we have these, with Global getting with the movie bosses team with all these other things, it does make it a little bit tougher for the wider audience to evaluate it, especially if they're not watching YouTube, on how hard these fights are, because you get this movie bosses team that's just cracked out of its mind. It has beers running around now, and it just makes things very different. It's like two separate evaluations. It's like, how did this look when there were less options? How did it look when there was an anniversary and a worldwide download celebration worth of buffs to have? So maybe I'm just looking at it the wrong way, but great fight, but definitely can be very frustrating with the locking, especially.
Yeah, I think the thing that I find the most frustrating about it, because I do hate rotation locking, and it's the fact that it's like, it's the combo, it's like a 1-2 punch of like rotation locking into the phase where you can't dodge, right? So if you bring a character on your team who is kind of reliant on dodge and is maybe going to be that category's best option against Goku and Frieza in the last stage, then you can kind of try and play out the strategy where it's like, right, I'm going to float them off in slot 3 against Tech 17, and then hopefully I just kill Frieza and 17 like before this guy ever has to take a hit, right? Because I either kill them in 2 turns, or on that 3rd turn when they come back, I'm just going to put them in slot 3 and I'm going to kill them before the end of the turn. And then of course Tech 17 on like the last turn where you're about to kill him is like, nah, sorry, that unit's locked in like slot 2, or somebody else is locked in slot 3, so now you can't float them off. And then you get into a situation where then that unit just gets killed against Frieza and 17 because they can't dodge. And so yeah, it's the combination of going from locking into a phase where you can't dodge, I think, is like really, really, really awkward. But
it's so funny. No, it's just sorry, I don't know why I started yawning. What's it called? I agree. No, I just wanted to laugh and say that was funny. I don't know if you had any other points to say, Ninja.
But yeah,
if that, I do have 1 or 2 things to say, actually.
But yeah, the event is fun. But yeah, it definitely has that global, like, the worldwide celebration teams kind of get through it quite easily. Gotenks team gets through it quite easily. So yeah, it's the final example, because now everything will be all coming out at the same time. But yeah, the final example of an event coming out on global, and multiple things have released since it came out on JP that make the event way, way easier. Like my first clear on that first day when it came out, I just used the Gotenks team, and literally it was like 1 and done with no items. Like, yeah, so crazy. But
it was just the U11 mission. That was the only like trial they gave you. That was it. And even then, not that bad, honestly. Like, I know it seems intimidating, but when they do 4 characters, it's nowhere near as bad. If it was pure U11, it would be hell, but it's not. You get access to a UI Goku. You get access to an Evolution Blue Vegeta, right? You get access to 2 UI Gokus. It's not too bad, but it can be tough. I think if you're missing Dispo, that's when things do get a little bit wonky, but if you have Dispo, you have the new Jiren, go knock it out. Won't be that hard, I promise.
Yeah, if you summon for Jiren. Well, I guess some people want to summon for Gotenks.
Summon for Gotenks, and they got Jiren.
What I will say is that it is funny, yeah, because this is like, again, the last global event. So I'm ready to see the Fusion Zamasu complainers again. That's going to be
yes, sir.
Remember when Fusion Zamasu came out, and then global players are actually like, bro, what is this? Oh my goodness. And then it's just like us GB players are just like, yeah, the usual.
I wonder if that's the case among like the Japanese speaking community. I wonder if it's similar to that, where people are complaining, because I'm not too into it, right?
I feel like a lot of people didn't like the AoE meta, and I think that's fair as a thing. But I think that like there was a clear difference in, I think, how a lot of people took it, depending on if they were on the global version or the JP version. And it's a thing of, not that I'm saying that it's like a good thing, that's like phasing characters out. It goes hand in hand with 2023 designs being really terrible, because it felt like they designed these characters to have a clear weakness in this fight to make the fight harder, rather than, I think, making the fight like more interesting, like how it was in this year 2024, and then kind of designing characters to be strong in certain areas, right? I think the way they handled the boss designs and the character designs this year were just like 180 from last year.
Yes.
Because like, I mean, they added, like, we never had a character that just dodged after they attacked, and then they brought out 21, and it's like, well, the only reason that you would do that is just because of Fusion Zamasu AoEs. Like that's the only reason. Like, it's just kind of dumb, right? Bad design.
A little bit silly, if you will.
A little bit.
Some shenanigans. 2023. Here's your keyword. 2023 was just a filler year.
Kind of was.
Yeah, so just view it that way and move on.
Indeed, hits and misses all over the place.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the event's finally out on Global. It's definitely fun, but of course we are not far away from the anniversary now, so who knows what the next meta of difficult content is going to bring. So speaking of the anniversary, there's been a couple more teasers, quote unquote, that have been released that are just the little mini commercials. Obviously, I think at this point, I mean, if you disagree, obviously let me know, but I feel like at this point we're kind of all in the same boat where these aren't really hints as to the theme of the anniversary because they are seeming to be just going through the arcs, which is something they have done before. If there's anything you guys wanted to highlight about these or anything you wanted to say in particular. Nothing really too crazy going on, but
nope.
No. So there you go.
It confirms Saiyan Saga, allegedly.
Exactly. Like we started off with, what was it? It was 2 Namek Saga ones and a Saiyan Saga one, and now we've got like Buu Saga in there, Cell Saga, like. So I think the theme from what I was seeing the posts is that all of the clips are moments from those arcs where like characters are waiting for someone or waiting for something to happen, which kind of just summarizes pretty much the community waiting for the 10th anniversary. Seems to be just kind of the main link there. So obviously, if there's anything any more concrete, then of course we will talk about it in detail in a future episode. It'll be very exciting once we do get around to the anniversary time. That obviously will be a big episode. But in terms of something that we do know that is coming, that will be a little bit more meaty on the information side, is we are going to be having on Monday the producer letter that we'll be releasing, which should... I don't know if we'll have seen any other teasers, whether they'll have been like the V-Jump leaks or anything like that, but though that producer letter should reveal the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest characters. Now, we don't know how much detail they'll go into, whether it will just be like the arts, whether they'll show the animations, or hell, they could show the whole kit. Like, we don't know.
They could show the banners.
They could show that.
I think that we'll see everything, honestly, because the banners to drop on the 26th. So, because of that, or actually,
yeah, because there's maintenance on the 26th on Global. So,
yeah,
let me double check when it is.
Yeah, for me, it's the 25th. And then for you, it's the 26th. So I think
it finishes at like 7 a.m. on the 26th, like Thursday morning. So,
so
Merry Christmas.
It would drop pretty much like 24 hours ish after that, right? Based on like earlier, actually, it'd be like 22 hours after the maintenance ends. I think would be when the banners drop.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that they're gonna have that stream again the 23rd for me, and then I think for you as well. Then they're going to post the details, and then like later on that week we'll have the maintenance. Though it depends. V-Jump, by the way, is just Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. That's
right. Yeah, I did see someone say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So V-Jump is nothing special. I mean, they could just show some certain animations, stuff like that, and wait on the kit, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that them having a whole reveal, it's going to be premiere too, right? It's not like they're just going to post it on Twitter. It's going to be a YouTube premiere. So I think that adds to it being something. I think it's going to be something more exciting, like whether it's Daima or Super Saiyan 4 or something like that. But yeah,
I put this in the episode overview, right? But I think the main crux of it is they're going to be like, it's time to celebrate. We are officially synced, right?
Yep.
Like all the way, like it's here because like we now have officially reached all of the characters being on the versions at the same time. That's probably going to be a segment of it that they're going to talk about. Ken, his name is Ken, right? I'm not tripping.
Well, I'm not. They might, because it is going to be a reveal for both global and GP. It's not just like a global producer's letter.
Yeah,
so,
but they still. I mean, it still pertains to both versions. Like it's like they're
I
not
guess
gonna.
They did talk about it.
GP just doesn't know about it, right? Yeah, it's like they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, here we go, guys. Like the versions are now officially synced. Like let's, maybe Amatsu would throw baseballs at some targets again. That could be fun.
It could.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty exciting, but I think you got it right. Where it's like we're probably gonna see everything. I don't think they're just gonna like drop the end of it with a hint. Like we're gonna have a pretty concrete idea of what's going on by the end of it. And if they don't show the banners, not the end of the world, but maybe they will, and we'll get lucky and we'll know whether or not early if it's a skip or not. But the answer is it's a skip. That's the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to
Daima
think
is-
about it because
sorry.
obviously they, as we said, they just kind of seemingly, unless they just got lucky, I guess, because we know sometimes the design choices can be very confusing. But if they did it on purpose, they clearly designed Gotenks to be a unit that will age well going forward and therefore is a desirable unit to summon. So I wonder if that same logic will be applied to the New Year Dual Dokkan Fest units, and they will actually be super good and obviously be another tempting summon. So obviously we did mention a couple of the big contenders already, but what are your guys' thoughts on the theme for New Year's? Maybe if you want to, not only what you think it is most likely to be, but why not you throw a wild card in there for what you would like it to be, even if you think it's unlikely.
You want me to? So I'll give you my most likely one, considering it earned a spot on the Legends Festival. I think Daima is very likely for New Year's. And if you want my, well, I guess we could talk about the Daima characters. I could easily see them doing like a dual Dokkan Fest for like Goku Mini Super Saiyan and then maybe a Glorio. I don't know if they'd be going as far as to go. Maybe it's a Vegeta. I don't know. Maybe I don't think they'd be willing to do Dokkan Fest Tamagami number 3 yet. I mean, I love Tamagami number 3, but I don't know if he's worthy of a Dokkan Fest just yet. But if you want my kind of fun pick, I did mention this in the video I did for this, but like let's get that Cope train going, baby. Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Baby. Let's do it.
I mean, that's
the easy one.
I think
Very
that's the big
possible.
one, right? Like anytime a Dual Dokkan Fest is coming, that gets speculated because Baby deserves the Dokkan Fest. We still don't have the first Super Saiyan 4 transformation in the game, which is insane when the game's nearly 10 years old. And obviously we saw that thing recently with the data, with the new active skill thing animation that seems to be revolving around like a giant form potentially. So I know Goku versus Baby is a big one on people's lists. So I feel that one's not as unlikely. But yeah, Minato, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think Daima, I think, is a really good kind of idea for it, just because I feel like it's ongoing right now. We could see Vegeta versus and Goku as a dual Dokkan Fest, and then I think like banner units for Tamagami 2 and 3. But then there's also like the fact of like Glorio or like Kid Supreme Kai or Pansy could get cards. So it's like would they could make them free to play. I think I could also see a situation where it's like Goku versus Tamagami 3 dual Dokkan Fest. Then we see, I don't know, Glorio and Pansy's banner units, or Glorio and Supreme Kai banner units, free to play one of those three, right? Could make sense. But I think, yeah, Goku and Vegeta, because Vegeta is gonna most likely, I guess I don't want to talk about the next week's episode just because some people may not have seen this week's episode actually, but I assume we know it's widely known that Vegeta's fighting Tamagami too. So the fight has not. I guess I'll just say the fight has not ended as of this episode because they fight like halfway through starting. So, we'll see what happens next episode. Next episode, it's like it's gonna be weird because like, are they gonna put like these animations in Dokkan before the next episode would it even have like aired, or what are they gonna do with that exactly? Right, it's gonna be interesting to see. If it's not Daima, I'm gonna say it's probably, I guess, just GT would be a good guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to throw in a wild card, I think like Piccolo versus 17 dual Dokkan Fest as New Year's would be cool.
Yeah, that's one that comes up a lot that people have wanted for a while. I feel like it's one of those interesting options. This is one of the things I said in my video where it's like there's always dual Dokkan Fest options or character options where like people will suggest the ones that they want to see, and then you get a bunch of people that are like, oh, that's not hype, like OG Dragon Ball or like 17 versus Piccolo, like, oh, that's not hype enough to be a New Year, like the dual Dokkan Fest. But like it's interesting because for that to come out in this kind of time slot, it means for people that are really into that, like really up for it, then obviously it's cool that that's finally a thing. And then if you're somebody who doesn't think that that choice is particularly hype, that's almost a positive because you probably don't want to be summoning now right before the anniversary anyway, right? So I think it's a really good option for like, it's a good time slot for them to drop something that is a little bit more, I don't want to say risky, but like a lot of they've got to be aware that a lot of people will be in that save for the anniversary mindset already anyway. So it's a good opportunity for them to drop something that will maybe only appeal to like niche, to like the whales or collectors or stuff like that maybe. But yeah, I think one that I see a few people have mentioned, I made a thread about it to make a video, but like Super Kaioken Goku versus Pikkon would be awesome. Although I think we have had Pikkon as a dual Dokkan Fest unit before, but that would obviously open up giving the EZAs to the original ones. I think that would be quite cool. 17 and Piccolo is definitely an interesting one. There's definitely options out there for these dual Dokkan Fests, but
if we see characters that need EZA, Pikkon Janemba, Super Saiyan 2 Tech Gohan, Angel Frieza, and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, they're the last 2020 characters that have not EZA'd. So it's like it would probably be based something around them. It feels like they're saving GT probably for like something during anniversary though. So who knows? I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, who would they EZA if they do? You know what would be really interesting if they do Daima for New Year's. Are they gonna EZA the GT Vegeta and Goku for Golden Week of that year?
Yeah, that's possible.
That's like
you got a Kid Goku right there. I mean, technically.
Yeah, it'd be like Goku and I mean, it'd be interesting if they lead like Goku family and Vegeta family to your skills, and then they have them on the team. That could be
if they're on the banners, it's a wrap. That's for sure.
I mean, like, yeah, I think that if it is a Goku and Vegeta dual Dokkan Fest, it's like those characters like would be likely, right? For sure. I mean, it depends because usually they base these around like the celebration that they are. If it is like Goku versus Baby, then we could see even Super 17 EZA or something like that, right?
Yes.
So we'll have to wait and see.
But yeah,
exciting times. We're getting there.
I know.
Anniversary's almost here.
Not long to go now.
It could be Namek Saga, I guess. Goku versus Frieza.
Don't do that. Make that anniversary. Get out of here.
I want an anniversary. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Don't put it in the air. Don't do it.
It is in the air. It is already there.
It doesn't need to be TUR.
You know how much I want anniversary.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just telling you to not put it in the air. That's it. You're right. Yeah. Don't put it in the air.
I will say again, Part 1 Fusions, Part 2 Namek Saga.
Final Form Frieza needs something, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? That's the Dragon Ball villain.
Super Vegeta and Super Gogeta Part 1, Part 2 Super Goku, and then Frieza that like transform into Super Saiyan Goku.
You see, I'm doing the cinema thing. That's what you know what I mean.
Absolute cinema.
Yeah.
Absolute cinema.
Now my top pick, which will not happen, as somebody mentioned in the chat, is the Xenoverse 2 like conclusion. Bardock transforming Bardock versus Mira, where Bardock transforms into Super Saiyan 3 and activates the like time dimension domain. Like, that'd be awesome. It's not going to happen.
Random, but you know why not?
It's not going to happen, but it'd be awesome.
Would you prefer he goes from Super Saiyan or from base to 1 to 2 to 3, or do you just want from base to 3?
I think probably base to 3. Characters that have multiple transformations, you end up getting it either becomes a case where you don't get to see them all, or they kind of don't put a lot of effort into like the middle ones, because the starting one and the final one are the most important ones, right? It's like transforming Goku and Frieza. Even when they first came out and were good, their forms along the way, they just kind of, their numbers go up a little bit, and that's basically all that they do, right? So I think it's better for units to have like one big transformation and then maybe like an active skill rather than multiple transformations, I think. But
you know what? I'd be downing, and it'd be the first good Goku Black since not Goku Black. Someone messaged me about Goku Black. It'd be the first good Bardock since 2017. So
here's something
that was also Super Saiyan 3 Bardock.
we didn't talk about this, Minato. You said something a couple minutes ago where you're talking about like, I think it was like a Tamagami banner unit or something like that. New Year's they don't do banner units.
Well, sometimes they do. Like for
when was the last time they did a banner unit for
superhero?
Yeah, it was the Gohan and Piccolo.
But
that was a special thing.
No. Yeah, for well, that's why I'm saying it's a new series. DBS Broly, they had banner units.
You're right. You're right. I'm wrong.
Called Superhero, they had banner units. So it's like, I think it's different because it's going to be like a brand new series, a lot of new characters.
I concede, but it's just like I'm just going off of years past, right? Where it's like
I feel like if it was like Goku versus Baby, then don't expect.
Because yeah, like because when I said that to Ningen, I was thinking like it's like wait a minute, because you know how they tend to like they conserve resources, if you will, right? Where sometimes the animations aren't just like out of this world. The superhero thing was a bit of an anomaly, but you kind of look at like what was it, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Kid Buu. Like sometimes you can kind of just tell, and especially like dev resources are limited and they just don't do banner units. It's just a sign of So if they don't like market it as like a Daima special and it's just like the New Year's Dual Dokkan Festival, then I think potentially we might not see banner units.
I mean,
just depends on how they market
probably know if they show us the banner images anyway. So
right, exactly, and that's not a guarantee, but it's more than likely. I think
it's because like if they would release a Goku and Vegeta Dual Dokkan Fest and not the Tamagamis, then when would the Tamagamis come out?
I mean, it just depends on like, are they gonna go with the sort of like legend strategy where it's just like we start getting. It's just like, all right, so here's a Goku mini banner, here's a Super Saiyan Goku mini banner, here's a Glorio and Goku mini banner. I hope we don't get like 4 Goku minis in the game in like 2 months.
If you mean that, then no, I doubt it. I would assume it would just be, hey, here's Super Saiyan Goku mini, Super Saiyan Vegeta mini, then there's the Tamagamis right there, banner units, right? I think that'd be the most sense.
Yeah. Maybe it's Golden Week, right? Where they can kind of just do Dual Dokkan Fest with banner units, and then maybe like a Part 2 LR that's from Daima as well. I mean, who knows?
I think Golden Week would be like, because that's like near the like Daima still has like what 9 episodes, so like that's like near the end of Daima. It'd be like the new Daima fusion versus Daima villain Golden Week, and then they're like,
it'd be fun
this time.
Right. It's so tricky to see how they're gonna do things because the Dokkan release schedule, I'm pretty sure they're much less frequent than Legends, right? Like with the characters they release.
That's kind of peak because new characters return on Golden Week. So you have Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan Vegeta Mini New Year's. They return on Golden Week for the Daima end of series fusion and Big Bad.
The Fusion Berry active skill Dual Dokkan Fest.
Exactly.
There you go. See, we're on fire right now. We just did the first quarter of the first third of 2024 for 2025 for them.
Yes, guys. If that doesn't happen, Matt Ningen deletes his channel.
If Gogeta isn't revealed during that stream, then Minato deletes his channel again.
Again.
Wow. All right. Well, on that major bombshell, I guess we can wrap up the that segment here and move on to the final segment of today's show, which is something a little bit different. So no trash takes this week. We have a new segment, something that we thought we'd try out, something a little bit different. We will do trash takes again. It's not like we're not going to ever do it again. We'll probably do this at some point again. Just trying out some new things. But for this week, we put out a tweet asking you guys to let us know your favorite team to run in the game currently, or at least just to supply us with a team, right, to be rated by us. And we each picked one. And yeah, we're just going to go from there. So I'll hand it over to Minato to explain it a little bit more, and I'll bring his team up first. So yeah, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so the general idea, guys, is that we're going to go ahead and be looking at these teams. We each of us pick a team that you guys put out in response. Now, these teams do have restrictions in terms of what we may ask you to have in the team. So, like, for example, this time I was like, okay, Gotenks came out. Let's try to have a Final Trump card character on the team. What we're going to do is we're going to look at each of them, and we're each going to rate it from 1 to 10. Then we're going to add the points together, and then whoever ends up actually getting the best team is the winner. And then we'll also have a poll on the chat after as we're kind of wrapping up, so you guys could decide which team is the best as well.
Well, there you go. So yeah, let's bring up, this is the team that Minato chose. So we're going to show it on the screen here now. So, no, that's my one. Yep. There we go. Spoilers.
So this is the team I went ahead and picked, which is a Topo team, which is actually very fun. I thought it was an interesting choice just because you don't really see special pose, and it's like if you have the guts to run special pose, you're kind of cooking, right? I feel like you're like, oh, I'm that Dokkan mega player, I'm a goat. And I like this because they said they incorporated both the carnival characters. They have Jiren and then Jiren plus Jiren and Gotenks and Gotenks, with Topa as a leader, rainbow orb changing, a lot of rainbow orb changing going around, making key consistency going on there. Two strong slot ones. I think it's kind of working. I think the synergy overall, even though you may end up as a weird rotation at first, once you get them set up, you have still the rainbow orb changing help you to do that with both the two Topo leads and then the Gotenks. Topo, he will run out of his guard eventually, which I think is the only thing. But he is just kind of like a floating orb changer that still will likely be able to tank normals. Then I think it works pretty nicely overall. And I just like the general idea of a special pose team. Not the craziest team ever, but I just wanted to pick it because I think it was interesting. So with that in
I,
mind, y'all, what
I
are
have
you all
one.
thinking?
I have one thing I want to say. Right,
Mhm.
there's got to be some level of irony that you picked this team when I said, "Who are you running, Jiren with Jiren?" and you busted out laughing. And
Well,
you picked a
yeah, I
team where
know.
there's a
No, no,
Jiren.
no, 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 no.
True.
You're saying no, 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 no. You said who you're running in slot one, Tech Jiren.
Well,
In
yeah,
this
but like,
situation, you're running Tech Jiren in slot two. It's different.
well,
You said in slot one.
What happens in the cherry pick situation that we talked about?
Well, you know what? Sometimes not every team is perfect. That's why a special
Well,
pose.
no, I mean, also it's like the situation that I'm talking about, you just don't do because Jiren's a defensive god. Forget about the attack support.
Exactly.
But I just do think it's funny that was a point of contention where I
It,
mentioned
it
Tech
is.
Jiren,
But that's
and
taken out of
I couldn't even.
context.
I'm not taking it out of context.
Yeah, it is, buddy.
Is it?
That's because it's slot one Tech Jiren is different.
All right, cool. I like that you chose. Yeah, so I honestly I didn't know that the viewers were going to be voting on which team was the best. Might not help my case, but
So
I think
that's going to be separate, just so we could see, what their opinion is.
right. Well, I think one of us is going to be winning, and I think he already knows who won. But it's what's it called though? I think that you picked a great team here. The ability to see Topo, Jiren, and then even getting the World Tournament Great Saiyaman in here.
Yeah, give him some love,
Exactly. That's a character that's kind of slept on, right? I mean, if we remember back to the OG days of some of these World Tournament characters, High School Gohan was all the rage, right? And this guy comes out and he was all right, but this guy's EZA is actually pretty good. I'm a fan of what he's doing. He says it in here, right? 3 key, 40% to stats. That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's a decent support. Some characters are doing like 60% support now, but this is a free character here. If you play World Tournament, you're probably going to have this character with a dupe or two, especially considering I want to say he was in the rewards in one of these recent ones where you just get I think you just get him at 79% for free without even having to use tickets. So very good team. I like what you chose here. I like that his name on here is Justice, the way he spelled it there. Yeah. I like to imagine that's how he thinks it's spelled, but we'll see.
Again, and we're rating these teams based off of vibes and how we like them a little.
Double Jiren for me is an 11 out of 10.
Oh, 11 out of 10. That's great. Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to
for Universe 11. Aha!
We're gonna have no. We have to default that 10 and or better. As much I would love that, but no. I think Negan has some points to make about this. I'm assuming, right?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a fun team. Like I said, I like running the fun random teams sometimes. I didn't pull Topo, so it's not a team that I've had to gotten the chance to experience. But I mean, the idea is there, right? And it's kind of funny. I like the idea, like you said, of incorporating both of the carnival units. The fact that they can both be run on the same team, and you just run them on the opposite rotations, because they're obviously not units that necessarily work well together. But having them on the team with their own rotation partner. Obviously, you're saying here the paired or similarly named units for lots of links. Obviously, Gotenks can linked with the other Gotenks can do really well. And then you've got the Saiyaman floating for support. And the Topos as well obviously can be good, especially with the team of having all the special pose allies. So yeah, it's just one of those teams. It's the kind of thing that I find fun to run, the kind of team I would end up running on a challenge run stream or something. So yeah, I think it's definitely a fun team. I don't know if it's not necessarily one that I would like choose to make to run, but it's one of those ones I feel like someone would say like, hey, run this against this, and then we try it out for like a challenge, and it'd probably be quite a fun team. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting. The only thing I'm a little bit, I don't know how to rate it out of 10 because I'm not sure in terms of the, I know you said like we're going by vibes, and so I guess not so much by like, if I take this unit into like Goku and Frieza, this team, how well am I going to do? Is that like the kind of thing I'm thinking? Or
if that's what you want to do, that's up to you. For me personally, I think it's a fun little kind of cool team. I think you could run into difficulties in content, right? You know, that's something I will take a little consideration. So based off of just being just a silly cool team, and you know, there could be some difficulties and difficult content, I'm gonna give it a nice strong 8 out of 10. I'm feeling it. I think you could get a lot of stuff done with this team, while it also being just like a fun team that, you know, you're not, oh, I'm running superheroes again for the 1600th time. You know what I mean? That's why I'm personally giving it a strong 8.
Ningen, I know how you're going to rate this team, all right? I know you're on camera, but I want you to close your eyes here and just let your heart speak. Well, that's going to be your rating, right?
I was going to say, I would probably give it a solid 7, I think.
A 7? Okay.
Yeah, I think an 8 might be kind of spicy. Let's meet in the middle there. I'll go 7.5 because I think Gotenks is really gonna. I said 11 out of 10, but that's for Universe 11. But listen, you got Gotenks who's gonna because I'm saying Gotenks is gonna give it the, you know, he's gonna be doing the heavy lifting here. That's a fun rotation, and then AGL Jiren's also going to be able to pick up the slack on the other turn. Again, sometimes Tech Jiren, he's gonna get you caught. That Great Saiyaman's gonna get you caught. You know, you're running into like a little bit of a quest with Topo where you got to keep his damage reduction. It says here Topo's floating, so you got to keep in mind with those damage reduction stacks, stuff like that. So can potentially be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but again, this is a pretty good team, so I'm not going to count too much against it. I think 7.5 is fine. It's a good. I'd say it's a very good team, but is going to run into some issues, as is almost every team in the game.
Yeah.
All right, so that in total brings it out to 22.5 for the team that I selected.
All right.
And I guess next we'll go into whatever team.
Well, I've got Vilify's pick up here next.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and throw this one up on the screen, and then let us know your thoughts.
I mean, listen, it's probably going to get the lowest rating, but Weeb of Class showed us here with the 21s team. Again, I didn't really go for the optimal setup with it, right? I just kind of scrolled through it. I'm like, oh, hey, I like this team, right? I think that 21 getting buffs is pretty cool. And who would have thought that the Android 21 team would be headlined with 2 Buhan characters, a Super EZA, and then, a Dokkan Fest Fat Buu. But again, just kind of bringing, Dustin Bulma off the shelf a little bit, if you will. And I'd really just kind of like the way that they're setting this up. I don't know if they put in like a reply how they're going to be setting this up. I don't know what their plan is here. I would imagine they're doing a like Bulma and 21 rotation. And then, or maybe like a Buu with Buu, right? I know for a fact they're probably running the Buhans together. If I had to guess, if I was a betting man, I'd say that's what they're doing. Then 21 potentially with Bulma. Am I crazy for saying that? I don't know.
No, but I feel like, yeah, because it's like, okay, who you gonna be floating would probably be like, what, Kid Buu or something? This is where it gets into interpretation of what you're thinking for the team and what you would run personally.
Right. Yeah, because like, you chose a good tweet here where they like pointed out exactly what they were doing, right? I just kind of chose a team that was a little bit more unique, if you will. I mean, you're obviously using the new Dokkan Fest, but again, the pairing of the 2 Buhans is super fun. I do have that on my JP, and I do enjoy using that. Went and Link skill orbed the Big Bad Bosses up to level 10, so I haven't used Buhan without it. And, it can look pretty impressive, being able to get that domain going and all that fun stuff. You're going to be able to see impressive stuff from Kid Buu, the other Buhan, obviously. The Fat Buu is going to be doing his thing, and then you also just happen to have 2 21s running around, I would imagine. I don't know what their plan is for the friend support and all that, but I'm just going to assume it's double 21. Just a fun team. It's something a little bit different. It's basically just Majin Power with Bulma running around on it, but still a very interesting setup that I think is just a bit different from what you're potentially going to be seeing a lot of the time, where you could have just potentially done a full Majin Power team here and then thrown who are some good, like, and we talked about Mr. Buu last episode, how he's the number 1 unit on the team, obviously. And then we've got other good characters like the Evil Buu support unit's just okay. I don't know why I'm blanking on Majin Power right now. Who am I missing? We've got Buhan, we've got Fat Boo, we've got the other Boo-Tanks.
There's the tech exchange Boo EZA is still pretty
good.
good.
Exchange Boo, yeah, he's very
Missing
good.
that
Thank you.
character, huh?
Potentially LR Super Boo, like in some niche situations, could work
Bro's
out.
bringing up some other units that are not on the team. That's crazy.
I'm just saying, like, if you were to run a Majin Power team, like just a pure one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's why I like the team, because you're doing an unorthodox version of it.
Yeah,
because you're bringing 21 into it. You're bringing Bulma into this team, and you don't really think it's like, how can I make a team of all Majins? And then it's like, oh, let me just toss Bulma in here, who could potentially be helpful with her ki changing, with the support that she's providing, or with her orb changing, excuse me, and then the support that she's providing. I think it's just a unique way to spin on the team, and I think it's pretty good. Do we want to get into ratings right away, or do I want to open this one to the forum, if you will?
I'm gonna give my take first. I mean, if you want to give your rating before you end, you
how do I want to do this? Right, we're going off of vibes. We're not going off of being optimal. So because I picked it, and I'm gonna give myself a little bit higher of a rating. Let's go 8, because I gave the other team 7.5. That has nothing to do with performance. Yeah,
okay. I think I actually think this team looks very fun to use, just like as a fun little kind of team, just kind of try out. I always liked Bulma as a character. I really like Boo. I think I like Boo more than most people. And the Buhans, like I'm a Majin Power kind of fan. Yep. I think my issue with this team is that stinker at the end. Like he's not like a terrible, but I just like feel like whenever I run him, he always just gets like destroyed. I do not enjoy personally using physical Kid Boo. So that does bring down the team for me a little more. If it was like, again, like Tech Exchange Boo, or maybe even like if it was the banner unit Evo Boo, I'd be like, ooh, okay, wait a minute, you're cooking and stuff with that. But I think physical Kid Boo, it just when I look at him, I just feel disgust.
I think it's just the big bad bosses. To me, I think it's the big bad bosses link.
Yeah, the big bad bosses link is probably why, but it's like if every other character has the link, you don't need, like, you could run 5 characters on the team with it, and it's like if the last character is a floater, then it doesn't really matter that they're missing big bad bosses. Also, Bulma doesn't have it, I guess, right? So that kind of takes away from that. I feel like I see the idea where it's like maybe you have the floating supports, or the 70% support he could provide is so massive, but I just feel like the boy just gets snapped. Like, sniped so often for me. 21 could be a little interesting too, but I think I you're like, yeah, I'm a run 21. I'm a Andrew 21 fan. Let's bring her out here with the new characters, have fun. I think I like the idea for it. But physical Kid Boo, I don't know, just for some reason that allure isn't with me, just because I feel like he's like, yeah, I'm a loser. So I don't know. He really brings on the score for me. I can't lie with y'all. I would actually give this like an 8.5, but I'm gonna have to go down to a 7.
Oh my god! I was like, I'm gonna rate. Okay.
That physical Kid Boo dog, dude. I'm sorry. I'm a hater. I'm a physical Kid Boo. You know what? 6.5. In fact, I'm a hater.
Wow.
Screw this guy.
He's just trying to sabatage. Like,
okay, no, I'm gonna do 7. I'm gonna do a 7.
Make up your mind.
No, the 6.5 was a joke. I'm gonna do a 7. I just. I'm actually just a physical Kid Boo hater. I'm sorry, chat. That's it. But
yeah, I think it's a fun team as well. I could see potentially. I'm trying to think who, because you could keep Kid Boo on rotation with one of the Buhans for big bad bosses, or just keep him there for Kid Boo so he can tank a little bit better. Because I could see the strategy being to float the 21s, because it's interesting to use her as the leader, and then she does provide, I think it's key support to all allies, right? And then she obviously has the dodge chance and everything after she'd supered, and as we're not in an AoE meta anymore, she can be a 3rd slot floating character. And then once she does transform, she'll be sharing big bad bosses with the Buhans and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely think it's a cool team build. Like you said, it's fun to get these older units back out, because that was the fun thing about 21 when she first came out, was you basically got to run a Majin Power / Android team, but you could throw Bulma on there, who was still one of the best units in the game at the time. So obviously this is a very interesting and very fun team build. I like Kid Boo. I get Minato's gripes with him because he can get sniped sometimes, but I do think he is still quite good. A support unit that's providing as much support and like is as good defensively as he is compared to some other support units. I do quite like him, and obviously the fact he has big bad bosses, so he is a helpful support unit for some of these extreme teams. So yeah, I think this team is pretty good and will be quite fun to run. I think you could get through some harder content than the previous one as well. So I think for me, I would give this one an 8 as well. Give it one higher than the previous one. So this one is an 8 for me. So
all right, well there we go. There's the rating for the second team, and yeah, I think without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the third team.
What was the number? What was the number out of 30? You didn't say.
No, I didn't. Did I give the number for the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was
did the math and everything.
Yeah, wasn't it like it was like 22 and a half or something?
So yeah, so I was actually, my plan was I was supposed to say at the end, but it's fine. So this team gets a 23, and that means that right now it is second place. So,
giving the next team a 1.
It's in first place, right?
Yeah, they're right.
Depending on what this last team gets, but yeah.
All right, so then the team that I picked. So I wasn't. I know, but it's Vilify. I feel like already set me up for this one with the previous comments. But like, I didn't pick this team because it's like super meta or anything like that. It's just I think I looked through the comments and I was thinking more from the mindset of like which team would I have the most fun running like right now. And the big thing for me is I didn't pull the Int Broly during the Worldwide Celebration, but after using his team a lot more, using like the Tech Broly lead and an Int Broly friend, I've like I feel like people, I know Minato believes that a lot of people underrate Int Broly. I've got like a newfound love for like the Broly team, and the fact like obviously for global with the event just coming out, this team absolutely destroys the Goku and Frieza like stage.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. Global moment.
I got to the last phase, right? Goku and Frieza on full health, and it was like the Int Broly, Tech Broly, like both Int Broly and both Tech Broly's turn. So it's like use all the active skills, activate the domain, like EZA Tech LR Broly active skill, and like that's it. There's just one turn, like Goku and Frieza. They do so much damage. But yeah, this team is super fun. Janemba is insanely good. I think STR TUR like Broly with the super EZA is a bit underrated, especially on turns. If you can get that good RNG and like you get a decent amount of rainbow orbs to him, he can be absolutely crazy. And physical Janemba is insane as well. Like think how different of a setup it would be, like not just for this team but even for like, actually I was going to say Buhan, but I think does he have transformation boost? But the fact that Janemba is on uncontrollable power, it's just like another crazy addition like for this team. So yeah, this is just a team that's like super fun. But like it not only does insane damage, this is one of the reasons why I think Tech Broly is so good, and Int Broly, especially with the domain up, is these units are doing ridiculous damage, but they're also really good defensively. It's not like, you know, you go into a difficult event and if you get bad RNG, you just die like on turn 1, because units like Tech Broly, insane tank with no requirement. This is something I mentioned when talking about like the tier list stuff, is like Tech Broly, you compare him to some of these standby characters that can be basically invincible, but if you get a bad turn where you can't pick up any orbs, like Family Kamehameha Gohan, for example, if you get really bad orb RNG, like he takes damage from these bosses, whereas like on turn 1, Tech Broly just doesn't really take damage from most scenarios. So the team is super tanky and also super damaging. It's just a team that, like I say, because I didn't pull Int Broly myself, I didn't really get to use as much as I maybe would have liked. And now that I've kind of been using the team a bit more, it's a team that I think is super fun. And probably, apart from like, you know, my own personal biases like heroes and stuff like that, probably one of our most fun teams to run in the game at the moment for me. And so that's why I picked it. So obviously for me, I mean, I would give it a high score. Like I'm not going to give it a 10, not just because it's mine, but I don't think any team is like perfect, but I would give it a 9 just because of how cohesive it is, how fun it is, and how good it is for actual difficult content as well. But there you go. So
it is missing one thing, and that is the best EZA TUR in Dokkan, Tech Beerus.
And he does fit on the team as well, so exactly. You know.
Yeah, but that's not the team again. Come on.
I mean, listen, if we're going off, so I mean, let me meet in the middle, right? It's like if we're going off of how good this team is, like, I'll just put me down at a 9 out of 10, right? Like, perfect team doesn't exist, unfortunately, but this is very
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
So you're giving it a 9 too?
I'll give it a 9. Yeah, why not?
Okay. So
I'll be fair. I'm not gonna sabotage.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a really fair point, and I think the allure of like an all Broly team mostly is awesome. You have the best unit in the game on there. That's awesome.
I don't see Beast Gohan.
No, I see a beast though. That's no, but like I actually really like this team. There's one thing that I'm looking at and I don't like, and I'm just kind of a little teeny tiny bit of an Super EZA Broly hater. Like a teeny tiny bit. Like not as much as physical.
This guy, yeah, I was gonna say this guy hates extreme Super EZA support units.
The thing, that's not true. But like, okay, well, I guess I don't know if there's any others. But
physical Goku Black, I bet you hate him as well.
Oh yeah, but
well, yeah, he does suck, but I bet you hate him, don't you? So there you go.
Shut up. No, look, this STR Broly, he's definitely like if I was gonna say good or bad, he's good. Like he's a good addition to the team. I just feel like there's situations where I'm like, dang, he just died or he gets sniped. You know, I have to worry about building him up, and especially on a team like this, it's like this guy's like floating. You know, it just like could be an issue. Easy attack Broly, I love him. He can get sniped early on, but you know, once you transform, he's able to cook. The rest of the characters I don't really have an issue with. I mean, it's just a good team overall, and it's like, yeah, the other teams are fun, but this one also is like, I'm also a villains fan, so it's a thing of like this team. I don't look at it, I'm like, it's not boring because it is a team that is like, you could say almost unconventional because it's not like all same stuff. I think there could be an issue with like getting some certain links up at some points and things like that. But for the most part, it is a very solid team and you can kind of move things around to get what you need. I'm going to give it an 8.5 personally, just because I'm not as high on STR Broly, Super EZA as others, but physical Janemba, especially there. Ooh, I love physical Janemba so much. He's such a goat, and Double in Broly. I've been riding that Double in Broly train for a very long time, and I'm glad Ningen finally sees the light. So that is where I would actually finish tallying that up. And in total, we can go ahead and rank the 3 teams. So in third place comes my team, the Special Post team, for 22.5. In second place comes Vilify's team, the actually I forgot the exact contents of the team, the Majin Power team.
Android 21 team, yeah.
Yeah, the 21 team with 23 points. And of course, Ningen's team comes first place with 26.5. So there is a 3.5 point lead right there. So that is how we personally ranked it. Now, Ningen, if you want, you can go ahead and make a poll and just be like, okay, what do you guys think? Which one is the most fun? And then we can have you guys in chat kind of leave your little votes on what you want or which one you prefer. Doesn't have to be just because it's good, but because maybe you'll find it more fun, right? But I hope you guys did like that segment right there. Maybe in the future we'll have different ways of picking the teams, like whichever teams has the most likes or things like that. So it's not like, oh, I'm picking this team and I really like this team, so I'm giving it a 10, right? I want to make sure it's kind of like we're being objective about it. But let us know by voting on the poll which team was actually your favorite, and we'll round back after we're wrapping up before the show ends and kind of confirm that. So
so the poll is in the chat now. Let us know which one was your favorite for any reason, and you can let us know in the chat as well. But yeah, that will bring us to the final section here, where we will go through the donos and super chats for the episode. Shout out to everybody who did provide support during this episode, help keep the old show going here. So I'm just going to go through and read these out now, and then we'll come back and check the results for the poll. So we have Philip Rodriguez with the $5 super chat, says, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year to all. So yeah, this is of course the last episode before Christmas. We will be back. The next episode will be Friday the 3rd of
January.
January. So the New Year's characters will be out, so we'll be able to talk about those and how well they perform in the game. But yeah, this will be the last episode before Christmas and New Year. So hope you all have a good time, whatever it is you do, whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate it. I hope you guys all have a good time, and we'll be back with more Slot 1 Super Podcast goodness in 2025. So shout out to everyone, but shout out to Philip for that one. Then we have Weeb of Class with the $15 dono. He says, with intro animations coming up on being 3 years old, what intro you're surprised hasn't happened, or an intro you personally really want to happen? So,
it's weird because this character just came out, but like I'm surprised we didn't see like a Frieza and Gotenks intro.
Yeah, I kind of assumed when we found out, because obviously Gotenks was teased with the hint, right, with the numbers. And then when we found out with like the content IDs that they weren't going to be transforming, I very much assumed that they were going to fuse as like an intro animation. So yeah, that's definitely a bit of a surprise. Vilify, you got one?
Yeah, I just thought of, I don't know, I just had to say it out, it was like a brain blast. Namek Super Saiyan Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he transforms, that'd be awesome.
And that's like, that needs to be voiced. So there's your easy way to do it. So that way we don't get locked behind a bad transformation condition potentially during the anniversary. We always get to see that if we want to. I know most of the time we skip those anyway after, the honeymoon phase wears off. I know some people don't like to turn them off, but I like to get through my events. So it's those are usually being skipped. But it definitely needs to at least be an animation. I mean, that's the Dragon Ball moment. Come on.
Yep.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, so what's so I know we've got versions of that. I guess we mentioned like the first Super Saiyan 4 transformation as well. Is there any ones in particular you're surprised that we don't have? Because obviously we have some versions of like the Namek Goku transformation. We've got different Super Saiyan 4 Gokus, but like, is there any specific one that you're surprised that we don't have as a character intro? Trying to think of some. I mean, there's one. I know the one that I really want to happen because it's the one I mention at like any given opportunity, which would be the Bardock putting on the Timebreaker mask and going Super Saiyan 3, which is from one of the Heroes trailers. That would probably end up having to just be a Heroes character, so probably not going to see that anytime soon. But
we're definitely not going to see that anytime
soon. Yeah. Well, it's weird because obviously, like the fact that Super Saiyan 3 Bardock specifically, and like Broly and Vegeta, they've like randomly done as Dokkan Fest characters, so it's not out there. And even Marseillan, right, was a random Xenoverse crossover character. So in theory,
Xenoverse 3, that's your money shot, right?
Yeah, that may be one day. But yeah, intro animations. I'm trying to think. I know there's one that like always comes up. I think I'm probably just getting confused with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku one because we talked about it earlier, but that one is the one that blows my mind that isn't in the game in some way. I mean, maybe not as an intro, but as like an active skill. The fact that it's just not in the game at all, when it's such a, like, even people, like, I am among that camp of people, right? Like, even people who don't particularly like GT, but like Super Saiyan 4 as a form. And yeah, like, how do we not have that, like, in the game? It's one of the things even people who don't really like GT like is Super Saiyan 4, right? So
I think among the fandom, that might be the most common demographic. Like people who, like, at least in terms of GT, right? That's probably the vast majority. Don't like GT, love Super Saiyan 4, right? Like that's not a hot take.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very common. Very, very common.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, shout out to Weevil Class. It'll be interesting to see, obviously, again, with the 10th anniversary, we talked about like power creep, but even things like the jump up in quality of the animations and stuff. Like I cannot wait to see the animations for the 10th anniversary characters. So shout out to Weeble Class. Shout out to Philip Rodriguez for the $5 super chat. It says fusions for anniversary percentage is slowly rising. What would your gut reaction be if Super Vegeta is announced in the producer letter next week? I mean, I'd be shocked if they did anniversary predictions, but I think Vilify can tell you'd be a bit excited, right?
If so, this is like confirming the anniversary, or this would be like because the producer.
Yeah, if it's New Year's. Yeah, it would. We assume it is just going to be for New Year's, but if for some reason the producer's letter confirmed Super Vegeta for the anniversary, what would you?
I mean, my reaction is just like, let's go, dude. Dokkan hype is going to be at an all-time high, and that means people are going to be watching the game, right? They're going to be talking about the game. They're going to be searching for it. It is exciting. That's what we like to see. We're 3 Dokkan YouTubers, and I think Super Vegeta would be good for all of us.
Oh, yes.
The fans, the YouTubers, the gamers, everybody. Nobody loses if it's Super Vegeta. Nobody.
Unless you want a Daima.
But you're getting Daima for New Year, so you still get
Or
T2.
OGTB.
Yeah.
I love OGTB. But no, I would be like, skip. Save yourselves, guys. The Golden Week, the New Year's characters return. So
We're talking about if he was announced for anniversary though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Skip New Year's.
Oh right, yeah. Because I think like
I'm going to tell you that anyway.
People are on board for the fusion stream for the most part. I know there's always the naysayers, like it's like, oh, but it's always fusions. It's like, yeah, because people go crazy for that stuff, right? And obviously for Gotenks, more final trump card characters,
yeah, shocker, right?
you can't argue. You can't argue with results, right? It's what brings in the attention and the more importantly for Akatsuki the dollar signs, right? So yeah, definitely will be exciting. And yeah, animation's on point, so cannot wait. And then we have Mega Nice with a dono as well. I don't know what TRY is, but shout out to you for the in terms of currency. But shout out for the super chat. He says, I forgot to do the tradition for Vilify's arrival. Everyone, it is my pleasure to inform you that you've just lost the game. So there you go. For those of you who are Vilify, you look confused. Are you not? Don't tell me you've never heard. Well, I don't want to say it again. We've already all lost now, but it's fine.
Yeah.
The menace in the chat strikes again. But yeah, shout out to you.
I don't know what that means, but he got me.
Man, like, you don't know what that means. That's crazy.
I don't.
Okay, well, we'll enlighten you now, since some people in the stream might not know.
No, wait, no, because that means that he wins.
Who?
I don't lose, so I don't like. What are we talking about?
Technically, he doesn't lose, right?
Well, I'm not sure if it works like that because now that you've been told you've lost, you lose. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I don't know.
What if I said I don't lose because I just said that?
I never lose. All right, well,
what it is. I don't lose.
All right, so let's have a look at the poll. Damn, that is. I mean, I kind of expected the result, but I didn't expect it to be.
Yeah, Ninga's a cheater, Chad. That's what we get from this.
I didn't realize. I'll do better next time, I promise.
well, so you don't even have to say that. We just have to like narrow it down where it's like, all right, you have to include Cybermen on the team, or
this one was supposed to be more lax, right? With the
kind
of trump card character, so like they threw some max on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like next time it'll be more, I guess, very next time, like
we'll have it planned and like structured. I'll try and I'll get proper images up for the teams and stuff as well next time, so we can be a little bit easier. But
this one was supposed to be kind of like an introductory, so it wasn't supposed to be like, intricate.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know what you guys think, and obviously keep an eye out. Make sure you're following the Slot One Super Podcast Twitter account so you can see these posts when they go up for future iterations, and you can let us know your teams, and then potentially your team will get picked by someone to talk about on the episode. But if we end the poll here, unsurprisingly, the Broly team is in the lead. But I would say the thing that I find the most surprising is that nobody voted for the Defenders of Justice team. Not a single person.
Simply haters. Oh my goodness. Now, you guys don't know true teams if it hit you in the face. That's
God.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
It's fine. You know what? Chat, next time I'll win. Trust.
We shall
next
see.
time I'll pick a Ningen team. What about that?
Heroes team. Let's not go get one vote.
Heroes, let's go. I know you forget which channel you're on. The Heroes team will get plenty of votes. What do you mean?
Oh, that's right. You've brainwashed them. That's right.
Look, these poor saps that poured all those stones for Heroes. Now they're going to be 600 stones down for anniversary.
Oof. Well, there you go.
What do they got for them? They got EZA Tech Trunks and Foo.
Hey, the extreme units are all really good. What are you talking about?
They got EZA Tech Trunks and then Warrior in Black Super Saiyan Dark Dragon Ball Boost.
Oof. Let's go. All right, so that is going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate all of you guys coming out. Thanks to everybody who came out for the episode, everybody who supported, everybody who took part, everyone who tweeted their teams for us to pick, everybody who voted in the poll, everyone that was here for the episode. The episodes are going live again on Spotify now. They should be up within about an hour of the podcast ending. So if you're somebody who is listening to us over there right now or just watching back the VOD, we appreciate you guys as well. Try and make it out to a live episode if you can and take part in the interactive segments of the episode. But that is going to be it for all of us from episode number 57. So shout out to my co-hosts as always, Vilify and Minato's Flash. Always a pleasure. And of course, I have been the Master Ningen. We will be back, as we mentioned earlier, in 2 weeks' time, Friday, the 3rd of January, into a new year of Dokkan. We'll have the New Year's Dual Dokkan Fest characters. And yeah, we will see you guys then. So I hope you all have a very good Christmas and New Year. Like I said, however you celebrate, whether you do or not, I hope you all have a good time. And yeah, we will see you guys next time. So see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.